Do 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 do.
Do.
Bringing up that audio.
Stop these, Nick, right? Now. What's up, Chris H? You are always the first one to show up.
Right?
And I appreciate that.
Always first.
Yep.
That signal is going out. That signal's out. Refreshing the website. Clearing caches.
What's up, y'all? Hi there.
Hi there, dinosaurs. Dinosaurs.
What's up, Tesla Rock?
Sharing this on the Facebooks.
Hey, we're actually on time today.
I know. How about that?
Nice.
Getting better at this whole thing.
Come on. Come on, YouTube Cash. Do your thing. Come on. There we go. Okay, Facebook's good. And here. Live dashboard. Alright. Let's take our faces live here.
Oh, what an idiot.
What?
Nothing. I'm just looking at a funny picture. Some guy's like up on a bookcase dabbing, and then the whole bookcase falls over.
Oh well.
Oh man. Good stuff.
Alright. Okay, well, I think we are good. We're live. I'm going to make sure that the chat is working, because it's never working until I refresh it for some reason. There we go. Alright, smooth jazz. Rick Bogus. Rick, are we going to see you at Seagraph? I hope so. We haven't seen you in a while.
Mm-hmm. What's up, Rock Force? Hello.
Chat's
Yeah, it's
working? Okay, I think we're good. I'm going to start the recording on my side. Check. Okay. I am rolling. I've got stuff and things.
I am now rolling on my side too.
Hello,
I'm also
Yogi.
recording.
Hey, boo boo.
Dog's freaking out, and I don't know why.
Okay then. All right. Is everybody rolling?
Cool. I'm rolling.
Rolling.
All right.
Rolling.
Just keep an eye on your waveform during. If it stops, let us know so we can stop and regroup. If anything else happens, usually it's something that's only on the live stream and not behind the scenes. If something catastrophic happens, I'll stop us. And,
Got it.
Other than that, we're gonna do the intro. Matt will introduce you, and you'll say hi or hello or what's up or whatever. But just keep it to that because I'm gonna dive right into the spiel, and I don't want to step on you. So,
Copy.
and then yes, Rick is gonna be there. Sweet. All right. Okay, cool. Let's do our clap real quick. It'll be 1, 2, 3, clap. 1, 2, 3. All right, we are synced.
I always have to close my eyes for the clap so that I can, like, you know,
Think
mentally,
about it.
visually, yeah.
Yeah. All
Go
right.
back to any episode, you'll see I'm probably closing my eyes.
like the promo.
Right.
Are your eyes
Right.
closed in that?
Maybe. I don't know.
Cool. All right, here we go. What up, and welcome to another Mograph Mocast. I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt, and joining us today is VFX extraordinaire, Mr. Josh Johnson.
What's up, guys?
And Mograph is a supplement to our site, mograph.com, which is a motion graphics tutorial site with tutorials, plugins, podcasts, and other Mograph stuff. And on the show, we talk about everything ranging from motion graphics to Cinema 4D, After Effects, plugins, render engines, doing business, doing taxes, being a contractor, or working for the man. You can email us, info@mograph.com. Let us know what you think about the show. Also, keep sending in your favorite moments from our show over the years, or comments about the show, whatever it is, anything that you would like to be in the 200th episode. We're going to have a spectacular of some sort that we have not been planning. So we'll do something. But send in your favorite. We've gotten a lot of favorite moments, actually. So we'll be saving those for that. That's only 8 weeks from now. Ooh, we got to figure that out. So
8 short weeks.
that's not going to be. Is that going to be at SIGGRAPH?
2 weeks.
Actually, that might. No, that's going to be at Half Res.
Will it
It's
be
going to be at
Half-Res?
Half Res because that's 8 weeks from now, right? So maybe we'll just do it there?
Yeah, sure.
I guess.
Yeah, let's do
I
that.
don't know.
That'd be a good 200 episode.
It would
Yeah.
be. I think that would be fun. We'll have to prepare some clips and stuff ahead of time, but yeah.
Well, I guess that answers the question of whether we're doing a podcast at SIGGRAPH or at Half-Res.
All right. We are going to, I'm pretty sure, do that because we got the same place as last year, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Worked that out this
Very
morning,
excited.
paid for that. And so we'll do like the round table, have a bunch of people over, have some beers. You know, maybe we can get Ryan Summers to show up again or something like that. It'll be fun. And yeah.
Rick said the whole first Back to the Future anniversary episode was
oh
epic.
my goodness. I don't know if I ever want to do that again.
That was one of the hardest ones to actually like
Edit?
we were laughing so hard the
That's so
entire
ridiculous.
because we were just pulling out like Dave would have like organized stuff that he was talking about, and then me and Aryev would just randomly throw in like
Hover
stupid
trains.
BS
And,
or something.
yeah. It's weird crap.
And so we were having a hard
Yeah.
time. Oh man, you should put some of the outtakes from that episode.
Oh,
That
yeah,
would be-
yeah.
that
That's a
would
good
be
idea. I need
That
to
would
go
be-
back
that
and
would be
find
good.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna go to Half Res, so we're gonna get in kind of early,
Yep.
have some fun. You know, maybe meet up with some people for some beers before Half Res.
We will
and
be
all
in
that.
super early. Our flight gets in at like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So the day before.
Yeah.
So
So we were
don't wanna
debating
hang
whether or
out.
not to go, and honestly, we just we feel like we really want to support, first of all, Chris Schmidt. You know,
Yeah.
and we want to support our friends who are actually
Yeah,
going to
if
be
we didn't
presenting.
know anyone who was actually
I
presenting, we
know.
wouldn't be going. But
Yeah.
it's like it's basically all of our friends, and they're coming and supporting us at our event. Sure, we're there.
Yeah,
We're there.
like we want to support each other. That's the thing. So the speaker lineup is just absolutely incredible. Now, some of these people I don't know, but I'm like super excited. You know, that's what we always say. If there's a person you don't know on the lineup, then it's somebody who will be your future friend. You know,
Yeah.
so
Absolutely.
you know, we know Julie and Billy. Some of these people are familiar, but they're not people that I've met. And so just looking at the list here, you know, Smearballs is going to be there. That should be interesting.
Yep.
I'm very interested about the MC is not
Yeah.
Nick, so that's different.
Oh,
And
Yeah, that's cool.
so
when's the date for that?
It's September 18th, I believe. Go up to the top. Dave.
September
Let's see.
18th. Yeah, it is September
Yeah,
18th.
September 18th.
Yeah. So yeah, super excited
I was-
about that. We've got quite.
Tickets are on sale now.
Yeah, they
And
are
I'm-
on sale now.
Do they still have any of the studio tours available, or are those sell out?
Those
Because I heard those sold out in
usually
like an
sell
hour
out
last time.
pretty quick. I'm not sure if those are sold
Yeah.
out. I know Half Res is not sold out yet, but I mean, I'm looking right now. I mean, they're still available on the site, so I'm assuming that they are still
Yeah,
available.
It says that there's still. All right, cool.
Yeah.
You can get your half res T-shirts too.
Oh yeah. Ooh yeah.
Yeah.
You can buy them before. Now, is that a faux pas to wear the shirt of the band that you're going to go see?
Well, I don't know. Are they going to send it to you before the event so that you can
Yeah.
wear it, or do you have to pick it up at the event?
I don't know, man.
And is it going to be more expensive at the event than if you buy it there?
I don't know. We'll have to hit up Chris and ask him, I guess.
I know.
Yeah.
All I care about is if they do the skateboard decks again.
Oh,
Right.
yeah,
Because I got to
that's
keep
cool.
mine going.
Yeah.
I got 5,
Oh,
6,
nice.
and 7.
Man.
And 8.
Yeah.
Really, let's be serious. That's the whole reason I'm going to half res. Is for the skateboard decks.
Well, we've got quite a bit of stuff on the week wrap up. There's some really fun stuff to talk about. Number one is this is just an interesting thing. I started using Grammarly and you started using Grammarly, and we both didn't know that we were using it. And so we're both kind of into it. It's not the pro version, but I was just checking it out. It's helped me write good at times.
Right gooder.
Help me write good. You write well. Superman does. Wait, Superman writes good.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes with Grammarly, like it doesn't really portray my tone or the way that I speak. I like writing emails the way that I sound personally.
I don't know if it's the
know?
pro version
And
or
then-
not, but one of them lets you customize it like that and be like, no, this is informal or formal, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's like no, this is a weird sentence, and so I'll click and I'll be like, all right, but that sounds a whole lot more formal. That sounds like I'm being too smart. I don't want to sound smart in my emails.
Well, I like that you can do the OS integration and the browser integration. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Other notes for this week. I was trying to figure out how to reset the origin of an entire scene. This was interesting. Because I don't think that there's a way to do it. Some people mentioned working with work planes, but it's one of those things where like I'm trying to take an old project and take a portion of it and set it back to origin. And there's like no real good way to just say, take this coordinate and make that origin instead and just like move it over, you know?
I'm sure there's a way to do it.
So I'm trying to figure out still if there's a way. A lot of people are like, well, put it in a null and then move this and then do that. And I'm like, well, right. But when you have animation under a null and you put something under a null and you move it, everything just explodes all over the place. That still doesn't make sense to me. Like my head still can't contemplate, okay, why is it, and how not to do that, how to freeze it and move it and put it where it needs to go. I'm doing something wrong. I know there's got to be a way, and I'm doing it wrong.
Probably
Like I'm not chalking it up to it doesn't do it. I'm saying like I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Literally. All right. So that's just something I was working with. I love XP Quick Tools. I used them this week and played around with them, like having to like
they're so good.
Rain and snow.
They're so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they finally just did the
nice. I haven't used
update
it.
to the update to XP X Particles, and it's so good. It's such a good update.
Yeah.
Looks amazing.
know? Yeah, and like the shelf tools just by itself are awesome. The quick tools, because it's like, I don't know, if you just need some simple smoke or some simple fire or something like that, instead of having to go through and actually do the full setup, or me, for example, whenever I'm using X Particles, my problem is I know generally what I'm doing, if I want to make something happen. But a lot of the times I have to go on to the online documentation to see the exact setup of how I redid something. And it's nice to be able to just go click, 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 and then just be able to mess with the parameters in there.
And they have changed, I think, your portal now. If you go to your customer portal, I got an email about this week.
Oh, yeah?
I got an email too.
I want to make sure I get it right. What exactly did they add? Because here, this is on the fly. It's amazing. Let's see.
Oh, boy.
Account maintenance. Let's see.
I was really worried you were going to bring it up and show it, and I was like, oh, that's going to have our
serial number or something. No, it doesn't have a serial number. No, it's access exclusive training through your new account area. We've been working on our websites to give customers the best experience. With active maintenance and the addition of a new account area, you'll be able to track your maintenance expiry, access your download links, request your license to be resent, and access exclusive maintenance training. So
cool.
That's cool. I'm excited about that. Lots of videos and stuff you can watch in there and stuff. So that's really cool. What else on the agenda? I went to NASA with my daughter this weekend. That was a lot of fun. it's
Did you get any rain because of the
barely,
hurricane?
barely.
Yeah.
We were watching
Good.
it because I didn't know if we had to cancel because they didn't. There were
Mhm.
two models taking it right into Houston, but no, it was fine. But we had a lot of fun, and we went last year too. It's cool to see like every year she's a little older now, so it's like she notices more things and we do more things, and I definitely recommend it if you're gonna go down there. I gotta say, like, hit me up. I'll tell you the best way, the best way and the best order to do things. It's kind of like the people who go to Disney all the time, but not as cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Those people who go to Disney all the time are awesome.
right. But there's a frozen yogurt machine that we saw last time, and the thing was she really wanted to go get frozen yogurt, and it's in this machine this time, and because we didn't do it last time, and you pick what you want, and you pick your toppings and all of that stuff, and this robot arm comes out, and it serves it, and it does the sprinkles, and it's just really cool looking, and so it's the whole time it's going, there's an animation going above it, and I look up and I'm like, I've seen this before. And that's because it's an animation that Mark Thorson did a couple years ago. And he actually sent it to us at one point and said, hey, check this out. I'm doing this in Octane. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it is. I looked it up to make sure, and it was. So I'm like, a wild Mark Thorson animation appears. So it's great.
It's really funny. It's almost like a small world. We see a lot of each other's work all around just in the wild.
Yeah.
It's neat.
So. Dave, where are you based out of?
Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was like a 5-hour drive.
Like visiting. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
What center did you go to?
It's just the Houston Space Center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
it's
cool.
They have the tours and all that. That's where Mission Control is. We saw the new Mission Control, which the new Mission Control they set up so everything works, and it's all the actual. It's the actual old gear. No, well, the old Mission Control isn't in use anymore.
Okay.
Last year it was empty except for a couple computers. All the screens do what they did, and they run through the entire last 10 minutes of the moon landing and show you exactly what the TV looked like and everything. Then we saw the new one. Mason Williams says Dallas representing. We're meeting more and more Dallas people.
I know.
Who is it?
Need to
Travis.
have another meetup.
Yeah, we do need to have another meetup. We are going to have another informal DFWC4D meetup at the end of August. We haven't locked in the date yet, or maybe early September. We haven't quite locked that in yet.
I think it's September.
Okay.
I think it's September.
And we're waiting just for everything to be set in stone so that we can coincide with the Maxon tour or whatever. So the Houston, let's see, Houston, what else do I have? Oh, I wanted to mention Buc-ee's is the worst now. Oh my gosh. Like this is so okay. On a Sunday afternoon.
You know what? Here's the thing. I'll play devil's advocate to you because I had the exact opposite experience this weekend. Go ahead.
Okay, Buc-ee's used to be fun. It was this huge place, and you go in. There was so much to look at. Now it's too crowded to even walk. We're talking.
For those who don't know what Buc-ee's is, who have never been to Texas and experienced the awesomeness that is Buc-ee's, it is. Imagine a gigantic gas station with like over 100 gas pumps, and you go inside and they've got just walls of candy and tons of stuff and the cleanest bathrooms you've ever been in your life. And they're super private bathrooms too. Like, you get your own stall with the door that actually shuts,
right.
And no little tiny crack that people can come in and see if you're sitting in the toilet or something like that.
Right. The problem is you have to wait in line now. There's literally a constant streaming line of 50-something people for the restroom. Wow. And it was too crowded to even walk. It was so crowded that there's 100 gas pumps there. Literally 100 gas pumps. They were all full. It was a line from the highway to even get in the parking lot, and then you get in the parking lot and you're like it's a complete cluster. There's no lines on the road, so everyone's going around each other, and you're like waiting for a pump, and someone cuts in front of you. You go into you go into the middle of the store. You can't even look around anymore. You can't look around. It's like being at It's like being
at Disney World during.
Oh, it's so bad. It's like being in a concert.
High volume. Yeah.
and you have kids. It's just
So,
it's not
Here's the
enjoyable
thing.
anymore.
You're probably at one of the original Bucky's locations because
Madisonville?
there are, I don't know, like, so basically you've got the original ones were in between like Dallas and Austin and in between Dallas and Houston, right? So those were the original ones, and then they started building more. Those original ones are only like half the size of all the new ones that they're building, you know? So they hold a lot less
I mean,
people.
this place is
The one,
huge,
yeah, I know it's still big,
man.
you know, but it's still only half the size. So the one they just built one probably 10 minutes down the road from me, you know, and we went this weekend. There was like maybe 20 people in the whole place.
It's just
It was
so
amazing.
it's oh man. I mean,
Go get yourself some
hundreds of
Dippin'
people.
Dots and some jerky, you know.
No,
and
the
an
candied
icy.
the candied
You're good.
pecans, roasted and candied. Oh my gosh, they're
Oh,
so good.
the
Yummy.
Beaver Nuggets. Beaver Nuggets.
Beaver
are where
nuggets
it's
are
at.
good too, but they're so syrupy.
Nuggets.
Beaver nuggets.
Yeah. Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
They're so good.
The
Josh, next time we see each other, I'll bring you some Beaver Nuggets.
there you
All
go.
right, I'm game.
The different movies, by the way, we were looking at space movies. You know, my daughter's pretty young, so I show her some space stuff, but only like, you know, one or two little things. It, you know, you can't show her like she's 9. You can't show like First Man. I don't want to show her where the kid dies and all that stuff. You know, so I just showed her some clips of like when they launch and all that kind of stuff because she's super interested in it. But I came across this movie that's like a Challenger movie, and it's so bad. You should look it up. It's on Amazon Prime, and it is like incredibly low budget. And the actors are trying so hard to be super serious, but every angle is an extreme Dutch angle above or below, and every hallway they walk down is full of small. Like the fog machine guy was just having a field day. It's just so bad. Like if you have a chance to look it up, I'm like,
You should show her Interstellar. Get her like
Oh, man.
just blow her mind right at
man,
the beginning.
if you have a daughter
know?
and you watch that movie, I mean, if you have a kid in general, but
Yeah.
especially a daughter,
Yeah.
and you watch that movie, oh my gosh, there's the scene. I don't know. Is it too late for spoilers at this point?
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
gonna say, cover
Like,
your
at what
ears.
point-
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't heard,
The part where he's leaving his daughter and it might be forever. Oh my god! Like, and she won't say goodbye to him. I lose it every single time. Every time.
yeah, yeah.
You know, the
I
when
don't
you
know, I
become a
thought the
parent,
part
you become
when
like
he
completely
gets back
emotional
when
wreck.
he gets back from the you know the planet next to the black hole, you know, and he's just got like 15 years or 30 years of like transmissions that he's going through. Man, that was rough.
Oh man,
Yep.
That's tough.
so rough. But we were also
Have you guys
playing.
seen
Uh-huh.
Have you seen Apollo 11?
I haven't. No. Oh
Doc.
wait,
Wait,
no, I haven't.
which one is?
Pretty good doc.
Which one is
Just
that?
came out. I think it came out this year. Look
Oh,
up the trailer.
okay.
Apollo 11.
Yeah, because this is the 50th anniversary, so I got some 50th anniversary swag. There's some really cool new exhibits and stuff like that. And so we were playing, we both have a Switch, and we got a suite that had like a bedroom and a regular room. So we had like multiple TVs, computers. We were watching TV and streaming Netflix, playing video games all at the same time. And I've been so into Mario Maker. I'm loving Mario Maker 2 on the Switch. It's just absolutely like the endless play that you can do. Matt, I sent you a level. I don't know if you checked it out.
I haven't. Like, I never really have the Switch available to me immediately.
Right.
You know.
Oh,
So well, you're
you gotta
texting
grab
me
it from
while
your
you're
son.
playing, and I'm like, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he was asleep at the time. But it's like, you're gonna make me walk all the way upstairs and grab my Switch and then walk all the way downstairs.
Man, that's rough. That's pretty
too
rough.
much work.
No,
Yeah.
So my daughter had this idea during the day. It just popped in her head, and she was like adamant about doing this right away. She's like me. I get this idea. I got to go do it right away. So she's thinking, I want to do a level that's like Flappy Birds, but in Mario Maker, you know, Flappy Bird is the one that's like, you know what I'm talking about? The game that came out where
Yeah.
you have to like fly
Yeah.
through the pipes, and it looked like Mario. So she decided to do one called Flappy Kitty, because you can be that cat in Mario. So she made that level where it's a moving level, auto scroll, and you got to get through the pipes as a cat as fast as you can. It's pretty good.
That's
And
cool.
people are playing it and rating it. And man, it's such a fun
cool.
game. Totally recommend it. Um,
Do you have the CVAR stuff on your list at all?
oh, I
For this show?
don't. We need to talk about that. Your
Yeah,
Thanos.
let's talk about it.
I'll bring up your
Yeah, yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
account. You talk about it.
Oh yeah, I did post it on Twitter, didn't I?
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know if any of y'all have messed with CVAR. I'm sure a lot of you have. I was on Instagram and I saw Smearballs had done some stuff with it was a different capture thing. I can't remember what he was using. I can look it up because I asked him. He was using Phase Shift, which it's some old software I think that Apple bought and then got rid of or whatever. But so I was like, I want to try something like that because I've got a project coming up where we're doing a spoof of Endgame, and so I found like $10 Thanos head model and stuff like that. So I was like, what's gonna be the best way to? I was trying just basically doing some R&D and stuff. And so I was like, so I went ahead and rigged it, actually like rigged it with bones and stuff like that. And then I used CVAR to like take video of myself, just like opening my mouth and moving it and blah, blah, blah. And so I was able to link. What's awesome about CVAR is it brings up, that's the first one that I did. So it gives you all the information of how like jaw forward or jaw open. So you can use all these in Espresso to drive other things. So at this, basically, I was driving my jaw open with the rotation of the other one. I was like, I want it to look a little bit more realistic. How do they do? I was trying to figure out how they do it in real life because because whenever they take cameras from the front and like draw all the dots on, I'm sure Josh, you're like, I could do this in like an hour, But where like how you sync up that information and stuff like that, because obviously they're tracking the dots and translating that information. So I used basically clusters in Cinema. So what I did was I took a point on the mesh of the CVAR thing, and then created a null that would follow that exact point, right? And then created a cluster of points on the Thanos head and linked it directly to that null. So that cluster would move exactly with the null. Now, what you don't see is there's another CVAR face like right in front of it, just hidden. But yeah, I was pretty happy with the way they kind of ended up,
Yeah, that's cool. I still haven't played with that yet, but I want to. The CVAR.
Yeah, it's super nice.
It's actually.
Josh, do you know how do they do that in real life? Like, I mean, it's obvious. Come on, you're the VFX man. You know about this, right?
I haven't worked with that myself yet.
How would you do this?
Buy a really expensive motion capture rig.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So I mean, ILM has like their own proprietary setup that you've probably seen before, and now it's like almost markerless from some of the stuff I've seen.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive, some of the technology they're using, and I'm sure Whiteout has something similar. But that said, I mean, the fact that consumers we can use like our phone now.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
in fact, there's is it IPI software? I'm gonna look it up. There's a couple of programs that I have actually played with a little bit, like 5 years ago, back when like Connect came out.
Yeah.
You could connect with Cinema. There was a plugin for it. Let me think. There's one. I think it's called like iPi software or something. Let me see. Motion capture. Yeah. So ipisoft.com is a pretty awesome motion capture software that you can use. Like I think 2 connects.
What was it again?
Multiple. It's ipisoft.com.
Yeah, it's interesting how many different ways you could do something like that too.
Yep.
This,
So in fact, if you go to my Vimeo page, actually, I'll just give you a link real quick. Let me see. It was forever ago.
put it in the dingus.
I haven't made a tutorial in a while, but let me see here.
Yeah, there's
I want to say back in the day, like when Dave and I were working together at this one place, we tried some of the Connect stuff, and like it had some. Yeah, it was okay. It had some issues with it though.
We had one friend it worked on really well because he was like tall and lanky, but then everybody else trying to get in there, we're all like, short, fat, bearded glasses.
Short and fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just depends. This is actually for a fun like YouTube video that we're doing for our client, but like,
Yeah, I'm curious if like
gotcha.
just seeing this and stuff, I'm wondering like I'm wondering how easy it would be in order to create a rig that will automatically, because what I'm doing is the cluster, if no one's used a cluster, it's actually really cool. What it does is it creates you select a bunch of points, and then you create a cluster, and that cluster then creates a null object, and you can move the null, and it will like move those points based off of a vertex map that you paint. Just super cool,
Yeah,
And
that's
so
really cool.
I wonder if there's a way to like that we could like automate it, to where you take the CVAR stuff and then you just drop in, oh, this is my nose, these are my eyebrows, blah blah blah. I don't know. Be interesting. Like CVAR 2.0.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Rigging makes me angry sometimes.
It's it's here's the thing, like rigging, we've played around with it. Nick and I have a bunch over the past little bit, and it's not too bad once you wrap your head around like the weighting and stuff like that, because I was always confused by weighting.
Mm-hmm.
Once you get your head around weighting, like it's not too bad.
Yeah, rigging is it's frustrating but extremely satisfying once you get something that works.
Yeah.
Totally.
You're like, yes.
Totally. And you're like it perfectly, like when I got that head all weighted and stuff, and like it's really interesting once you like start moving the head, and it's like, oh, it's like moving correctly and like bending correctly, and you're like, oh yeah, that's nice, that's super nice.
Yep.
So
I'll put a link to this video of yours in the show notes too, if anyone wants to check that out.
Cool.
Let's see. Other things on my notes here for today. Gosh, we got a lot of week wrap up stuff here. The Slack is open. I opened it up the other day, and it was open, but it wasn't advertised until like Friday at 10 p.m. And as of last night, we already had like 30 something people sign up. So mograph.com/Slack.
Right?
We're gonna close it. And here's the thing. I think we open it up indefinitely. Usually we'll do like a week or a month or whatever. If we go over 100 people, like it's cut off. But because we like to get people in there, introduce themselves. If you join the Slack, please go into general and introduce yourself. Put link to your reel, whatever it is. Like, I don't, just say, hey, I'm here. This is what I do. Meet everybody. I mean, it's fun to lurk or whatever, but sign up and get involved and let us meet you, because that's why we trickle it, because we want everybody to get to know each other. So that's open right now. If you or somebody you know has been waiting, mograph.com/Slack. Also, interesting memory lane on Slack this week. It's crazy what a small world this is. Because I was posting stuff, about this rig, and we got on a conversation about doing, about being on the road, and some people that did touring were in there, and we find out we have friends in common. And I think Matt Krause saw a picture of a friend of mine that I had posted in this video I did, and he, or this picture from on the road, and he's like, "Is that Daniel Piot?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Like, small world, like everybody knows each other. It's so funny. All right, now,
especially in that world, I feel like you guys all know each other.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Or have worked with each other at least on one little show or something. Speakers and counselors, Camp Mograph. You want to pull up the list of speakers, counselors, and sponsors? I'll talk about our contest here while you're doing that.
Oh, right.
Okay. We've got. First of all, I will say the EJ Bendy Limbs rig contest is still going on. We'll probably close that off when we get back from. We're just gonna let that go for a little bit. We'll close that when we get back from SeaGraph. Again, we have the new camp counselor Twitter and Instagram. If you do a story or you share this on Twitter, make sure that you retweet that. You use the hashtag Camp Mograph, the hashtag Bendy Limbs, and you tag iDesign and Camp Mograph in that. Now, if you do that, you are automatically entered in a contest to win a copy of Bendy Limbs, which is EJ's new thing. You'll see a couple instances of this, actually, 2 or 3 instances of this in our new music video that we're going to premiere here in a second.
Oh boy!
Just you wait. All right.
Just you wait, Henry Higgins.
Do you have your list?
I do have my list.
All right.
What do you want to? What do you want?
Let's talk
on the
about the
list?
instructors first. The instructors for
okay.
Camp Mograph.
Okay, so we've got Jax Johnson, Satine Phoenix, EJ Hassenfratz, Greg Gunn, Patrick Goski, Caitlin Kaju, and Casey Hupke. Our fireside chat speakers, Aaron Sorofsky, Ryan Summers, and Barton Damer. This is going to be fantastic,
Man,
y'all.
I know.
It's going to
Awesome
be so
lineup.
good. Yeah, and then our camp counselors that we're bringing in Phil Roberts, Raid Zero, Gurnge, Billy Chitkin, the Arievs, both David and Chelsea
The Schmoopies.
Ariev, the Schmoopies, Penny Niederlander, David Brodeur, and Nick Reed. You guys know him as Pickle Nick.
Pickle Nick.
So
yeah,
it's gonna be and of course me, Dave, Liam, and Mark and Matthias.
And
will
Matthias,
be there.
yep.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be a huge awesome party full of people. So tickets are still available. Cabins are still available. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Maybe keep your eye out for around SIGGRAPH time. You know, maybe there might be something special going on. Yeah. So you know, just keep your ear to the Twitter sphere and stuff. You know. So
our sponsors. We'd like to thank our sponsors for Camp Mograph as well.
We would like to thank our sponsors.
Who that is?
Huge shout out to the sponsors, because without them, this would not have happened at all.
Not at all.
You know, or actually, without them, the tickets would have been twice as expensive.
Oh yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
And so we're really happy. Like, they helped us. They're helping us so much with this event, helping keep the prices super affordable for people. I mean, this is a 3-day event for next to nothing, you know. So, and it's all inclusive. You get, you know, food and drinks and everything taken care of, and all your entertainment. So it's gonna be great.
Campfire chats with like Barton Damer and everybody, and like having a couple beers from the keg and roasted marshmallows. That's gonna be fantastic.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So huge shout out to all of our sponsors. Of course, Maxon, the makers of Cinema 4D, your favorite 3D application, and then Octane Render. Everyone uses Octane Render. Great, fantastic render engine. Pixel Plow, we love Mr. Plow, and big shout out to them. And then School of Motion. Super fun to have them on board. Insidium, X Particles, makers of X Particles and Cycles 4D. AE Scripts, AE plugins for all your After Effects and plugin scripts needs, and of course Red Giant, makers of some wonderful plugins for After Effects and Premiere and them.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you so much to all of our sponsors. Make sure and check them out and give them some love on Twitter for sponsoring Camp Mograph in this amazing time.
All right. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. We got some really great submissions, and we sent those off into judging, including the Schmoopies and EJ, and we casted our votes as well the best we could. We didn't want to play any favorites, which is why we have the other judges as well, and we unanimously agreed on one particular winner. But we took all of these. Everybody sent in their high-res uploads, and I have put them together in a music video.
So just to let everyone know who entered, there may be only one winner, but you are all winners.
And you're all getting a Render as Fire t-shirt. Yeah.
Everyone will get a Render as Fire t-shirt, and then you also get sent a discount code for the Camp Mograph tickets.
I think everybody has sent me an address for their t-shirt at this point, but if you haven't and you're hearing this, make sure you get me your address. I'm going to send those out. And then we're going to play this music video for those of you listening to the audio version of this on the actual podcast. we will skip over the song just to save you having that running through your brain the entire
Right.
entire
Where can
rest
people
of the day.
see this music
People
video?
will be able to see this online eventually. I'm not posting it yet because there was one person that hasn't sent in their high res, and I'm going to try and get that first. So,
Cool.
without further ado, here's the premiere of the Monkey Legs music video made by all of the people. Here we go. And play. And play.
You're a bag.
Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs, girl. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs, girl. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs, girl. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. I want to give you a banana. Girl, I want to give you a banana. Girl. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs, girl. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs, girl. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs, girl. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. Squeeze me with your monkey legs. I want to give you a banana. Girl. I want to give you a banana. Girl, I want to give you a banana. I want to give you a banana.
So there we
Amazing.
are. Wow. That was fun.
Great job to everyone who entered, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody,
Fantastic work.
for that. Okay, so the moment you've been waiting for, we're going to announce the winner of the contest. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready? The winner who gets a free ticket to Camp Mograph is Render Mac.
Render Mac.
Render Mac. You got
Well
it.
done.
That's the one
Congrats.
with the cave, the monkey cave at the beginning, and
Yeah.
all the animation of all of the monkeys dancing, which was
Yeah,
incredible.
super realistic looking
Yeah.
monkeys.
So
I
time-
mean, that was pretty good.
Time to
That was
party
pretty good.
down. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I forgot the confetti. We need to. There we go.
Ah,
Yay, Render Mac.
Hey.
Woo! We got lots of
That's
confetti.
funny.
Woo! Okay, so you get free ticket to Camp Mograph. Everybody else who entered does have the opportunity to get a discount. If you talk to us and want to go, we will give you a discount on your ticket, and you will be getting that t-shirt. Thanks, everybody, for participating. I'm glad we
Yeah.
got enough entries to make a
I
music
know
video.
it's good to actually have a competition and have people actually contribute.
Yeah,
so
that
we
was
appreciate
nice.
that. We've ran competitions before where no one has contributed, so we
Right.
appreciate that.
It's like, here's some free stuff. Like, if you enter, you're going to win because you're the only entry. No, that
Yep.
was really great. So super excited about that. Gonna put that out there. Actually, Robot Penguin said that he just sent it. So we got everybody. I'm gonna post it online. You can watch it. And for those of you listening to the audio version of this, you didn't have to hear it. So, a couple other things to go over for the week wrap. This is a long week wrap up. Amazon. It's Amazon
We had
Prime
a lot
Day.
going on this week. You know, some weeks are good, some weeks are bad.
Right.
You know,
it's Amazon Prime Day, which
don't buy anything. Those
well,
Amazon workers work too hard.
the interesting thing is, I was watching something last night on Prime, and there was an advertisement on it at the beginning because they're doing an Amazon Prime Day concert, right? So they have all these graphics,
right.
and they're going to do the concert, and someone's hosting it, and it's Amazon Prime Day. There was no mention of the date anywhere.
funny.
And I'm like, well, that's cool. When is that? Nothing. I was like, okay, that's a good example of like, kind of, dropping the ball on an advertisement, because it's like, this is really cool, but where can I see this? When is it?
Why is Amazon Prime Day 2 days if it's just Amazon Prime Day?
I think because
Shouldn't they call it Amazon Prime
there's
Days?
a buffer to go between like the different parts of the world and all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, you want to allow enough time for that. I just thought that was interesting. But then also I want to talk about Seagraph speakers, because the Seagraph speakers were announced, and you can find that at c4dlive.com. And man, what a great list. What a great list. I'll bring this
Great
up
lineup.
here.
A lot of female presenters this year.
Yes.
Super exciting about that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Very exciting. A bunch of our friends on here. We won't go through everybody. Honestly, next week, we're going to actually kind of break this down a little bit when Matthias is on the show, and we're going to talk about what to expect and what we're going to see and all of the speakers. Just a really great lineup, except for this guy, this nerd, Dave.
That guy's a
Dave
jerk.
who? Cause? Was like the saxophone player? The jazz? I don't know. I don't know who that guy is. But there's some just amazing people in here. Like we said earlier, meet all your new friends,
Yeah.
So go in, check this out.
People.
And people.
meet all your new friends and people.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I can't wait to hang out with him as well. So check that out if you want to get the details, c40live.com. And yes, that is it for the week wrap up. Thank goodness. So let's move on to some Ravcock. What's your flavor?
What's your flavor?
I don't have much
Hey guys,
in that.
What's your flavor?
I will say, because I am digging more and more into Redshift, I was trying to shade some Turbulence FD stuff, and I ran across this problem, and I was like hitting people up in the Slack, and it's the stupidest problem ever, but
Oh, right.
I could
But
not.
when you think about it, okay, so yes, it is a stupid problem, but when you think about it, it absolutely makes sense.
Right, but stupid
Go ahead,
problems
tell
need
what
the
the
most attention. So we need to like address this in case anybody was looking, because I was trying to find the answer on Google, because that's where I start. I'm not like immediately like, I don't understand how to make a cube. How do you make a cube, guys? Because like, you could look that up.
Read the manual.
When and I was looking for stuff, and I was like finding Mograph tutorials on it from back in the day. I'm like, no, that's not it. Like I could not find the answer to this. I did not know why my volume shaders were not working correctly. They were all grayed out. I couldn't when I would go in, I couldn't base it on temperature or density or any of those things. It was grayed out, and I found a lot of people online who said they had that same problem, but nobody had an answer. A couple people said, well, I updated TFD and it fixed it. And now I know the reason. Because you have to have that folder named exactly as is from TFD in your plugins. And so I did, and I'm going through, and I'm like, I don't understand why this isn't working. And after 3 hours of struggling and going back and forth with people and checking to make sure I had the right version of everything, and they were sending me, like Jan, sending me stuff saying this is how I do it, and it was exactly how I had it set up. The only thing that was wrong is that it wasn't in the plugins folder for Cinema 4D. It was in my custom plugins folder where I actually keep everything.
Yeah.
So
That's a shame you can't do that.
you have to put it there, because Redshift installs itself into the default directory when you do the installer. And so you have to put DFD in there, and it has to be named exactly that. Or for some reason, your density and temperature and everything are grayed out. And I think it's because, I think like Billy was saying in Slack, because it thinks that it is the trial version.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
interesting. Okay.
But I, you know, obviously I don't have any hair left, but, you know, I was pulling what was left of it out because I couldn't figure it out. And it was such a simple thing. And I'll say another thing Billy helped me with, and I'll chalk this up to being on pain meds for my tooth this week, is that I was recreating something that I did last week, and I couldn't figure out why I couldn't blow smoke through a tube because it just, nothing happened. And I realized I did have thickness to the walls. And like, you have to have thickness in order to, but it has to be,
it has to be bigger
than your voxel size.
Than, your voxel size.
Yes.
That's
that
the
was
thing.
the other thing.
Yeah.
Because usually if I'm doing a sim like that, I'm like, it's going through. Oh, it has to have thickness. It was such a awful moment. I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I think about that? But anyway, Josh, what render engines do you use most?
Arnold and Redshift.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
So
You're our first really big Arnold user. I mean, other than Chad Ashley.
Yeah, and what's up, Chad? I saw a little shout out earlier. Yeah. So Octane, I remember downloading the demo when it was pretty new, and I only had one. Like, I think I had a Titan, but it was like the first generation. I only had one card. I was like, wasn't fast enough for me to like really learn it at the time. So I was like, all right, I'll go back to Arnold. Then I heard news about Redshift coming out, did some research on that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for that one to really get into the GPU rendering. While that's happening, I'm gonna, use Arnold. So Redshift came out and adapted that right away. I like it a lot, but Arnold's one of those renderers that you literally can just throw anything at it. Just to render it. It's gonna have any problems. Now, it might render a little longer. But of course, I'll use render farms for that. Send it off somewhere online. So to use an example, I recently finished doing work for a film called Native Son, which is now on HBO, if you have HBO Go or whatever. We went to Sundance, and then HBO bought it like right before our premiere.
Cool.
But on that film, let's see, I was the lead visual effects artist, almost the only visual effects artist. But I did hire Brett Bays, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Amazing character rigger. And just amazing guy all around. But hired him to rig a character for me, a rat. But other than that, I comped like 130 something shots. And did some 3D stuff. Man. It was pretty intense.
How long was that process? Like, how long did that take you?
Well, let's see. I guess it was April of last year. I visual effects supervised it too, like on set. So I was on set for maybe like 2 to 3 weeks. They flew me out at different times.
Okay.
So set maybe 2 to 3 weeks. Wasn't a lot of pre-production for me. Just kind of was thrown into the mix, which kind of happens sometimes.
I know how that works. Yeah.
Yeah, happens like that. Even on a film like where A24 was already producing the film at that time, and we had like an Oscar-nominated DP was shooting it, and like cool. I was like, oh sweet, this is gonna be like the smoothest experience I've ever had on set. Nope. But that's kind of how it goes sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially like in the indie world where you only have a certain amount of money, and visual effects is kind of not really thought of in the beginning as it should be. And I had worked with the producers before, so they knew that I could do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I think that probably was like, oh, he'll figure it out, which is not always how it should go, but that's how it went. But anyhow, so about 3 weeks on set, and then I think by the time post started, like by the time we had a locked edit, I probably spent maybe 3 to 4 months on it. Now, it wasn't all like at once. Sometimes there'd be like, I'm waiting for maybe some shots to get locked. I was working on other projects at that time as well. Okay. But there was probably at least 3 months, probably 3 months of solid work on that, I would say.
Wow.
To get it where it needed to be.
Let me ask you on this, like, so when you're doing a project like this, and you're a freelancer, you're running your own company and stuff like that, like, do they come to you and say, we've got this budget for this, or are they doing like a day rate for you or something? Because these are, I mean, with different projects and stuff like that, I mean, you know, I've never done. I mean, I've done a few. We've done like VFX for like maybe one movie that went out, you know, and it was basically, hey, how many days do you think this will take? This is how many days I think it'll take. You know, but
so
I get, it's hard for me to imagine working on something like that that's very VFX heavy, 100 and something other shots, you know, for 3 months, and then also being on set. How do you bid something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely a difficult process, and it's one of those things that like it's probably you're always changing and learning as you do it, because you're like, oh, maybe next time I won't do that.
For sure.
I'll do this. But generally speaking, like in a perfect world, like you get sent a script while they haven't started shooting yet,
right?
And then usually, since if I'm supervising it as well, I'll do what they call like a visual effects breakdown on the script. So I'll read it, I'll go through, make notes about what I think are visual effect shots, you know, what it's going to take to do it, kind of go through that. And once I get that, then I'll make like a list, which is like, you know, to get myself like a real rough ballpark estimate of like time and cost. And then what I'll do that, I'll take all the shots and put them into like 3 different categories for like easy, medium, and hard. Okay. And I'll also kind of, you know, explain if it needs to be like possible green screen or 3D work. And, you know, that'll kind of be like in the notes, like a little spreadsheet I'll make or something. So that's kind of like the first part of it. And that will have like a rough estimate of my time and money. Now, this is kind of an example of if I'm coming on early enough in the project where, you know, they haven't started shooting or anything.
For sure.
Sometimes happens. So, and that way, I would say that's pretty much, you know, setting it from the beginning. I'm telling them what I think it's going to cost, you know, the time and stuff like that. And they may come back to me and say, okay, great. Or they might say, oh, we only have this much money. Or, you know, then you might start cutting some shots and, you know, things like that. Other ways, you know, I've been approached where it's like, hey, we got these shots, but we only have this much money. Can you do this? Or you know, I might come back and say, well, I can do like half of those shots for that. Or you know, I might give them a better option too. I was like, well, actually, you probably don't need to do this on that. Or, you know, sometimes I may even, depending on if I've worked with them before or after reading the script, I may even recommend like, actually, you don't really need the visual effects thing here. You could probably do this instead. You know, go back and forth like that. But as far as
make
like,
suggestions for cuts, like
I do,
hey,
yeah.
you could, okay, that's interesting.
So I would say that's probably the advantage of, since I am like a freelancer, and I hadn't moved to LA or New York to work for a bigger studio. Yeah. The advantages of that is most of my work is smaller independent films. I mean, sure, some that are big enough to say HBO, Sundance, and stuff like that. Right. But they're still small enough where I usually have a voice.
That's cool.
Creatively. Yeah. It's not always the case, but usually, and it depends who I've worked with before. But yeah, so there was actually a film in 2015. I don't know if it's on Netflix anymore. It might be. It's called 1 and 2. But I supervised it and did a bunch of effects for it. But I also, like, you know, did a script breakdown. I was on early enough. That one I came on super early, which was great, how it should be. Did a breakdown. I did concept design for like teleportation effects. And of course, ended up doing the teleportation effects as well. Tippett Studio was actually going to come on and do visual effects with me. But it ended up just being me, and I hired some other freelancers to help me. But that was a case where there was times that I even made an edit suggestion while we, you know, film was already shot. We were, you know, in the process of sending them visual effects shots to the director, going back and forth, that kind of thing. And there was a sequence. I was like, you know what? Me looking at it as like not only like a filmmaker but also a visual effects guy, I was just like, well, you know what, it makes more sense if I cut this shot and just do this. So I kind of sent them my own little edit of a small sequence. I was like, I think this works better like this. Hey, I'm not saying like you should do it.
That's got to take some balls to do, though. You know, like seriously, it's like, hey, you guys are good, but here's how I think you can make it better. You know,
I probably wouldn't do that.
I handle explosions and roto and stuff like that, but here's how I think you could make this better.
What you've done is okay, but you know, I would kind of, you know, do it good. Like this.
Say for me, this project was the director I worked with lots of other times.
Okay.
I never worked with but super kind, like humble guy, super talented as well. But you know, my background is like filmmaking. Before I even touched visual effects, like editing, that's the stuff I do before I even like started learning visual effects. So I was comfortable enough to speak the language and to like, you know, because I honestly thought, I was like, you know what, I think this sequence plays better like this. And you know, I presented it in a way as like, hey, you know, I'm not just gonna throw this out there because I kind of feel like it maybe works better, but I'll let you guys decide. It's obviously up to you guys.
Yeah.
But they, in the end, they totally agreed, and that's what they went with in the edit. So I was like, that's pretty cool. But that's like a collaborative experience. I don't think I would.
And then you
probably
go
be
see
able
that in the theater, and you're like,
Yeah.
that was my edit right there.
Well, my suggestion at least, but
yeah.
I made this.
Yeah.
But like I don't. Let's for example, if I was working for some bigger studio in LA or something, working on Avengers, I'm not going to be able to make that suggestion.
Right. Yeah. So I was gonna say, because you work on so many small independent films. I mean, have you worked on any like major big studio projects?
Yeah. So actually, probably one of the first films I worked on was like in 2008 or 9. It's called Duplicity.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, Clive Owen and Julia Roberts and stuff. I only worked on a handful of shots, just helping with 3D tracking.
Oh wait, I was thinking of Multiplicity. Never mind.
Yeah. Duplicity.
I like pizza.
Clive Owen, Julia Roberts. Not the Michael Keaton one, which I do love. Multiplicity. Yeah. Fantastic film. Pulls me in every time it comes on. So I did work on that, and that it was Universal. I mean, I don't know the budget, but it was probably pretty decent with all those actors in it.
Yeah, for sure.
That was kind of one of the projects I had. Well, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I can make this remote thing happen.
Yeah.
So
The budget was $60 million, by the way.
Well, there you go. Okay.
I've got your IMDb up, so like I'm just clicking through the ones
impressive.
that you're talking about.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that so there has been some moments like that, and I've had opportunities to work with bigger studios in LA, and believe me, I've definitely thought about it.
Yeah.
But it's like I have a wife, don't have any kids yet, but we plan to.
Yeah.
And like moving to LA or New York or wherever it may be to work for a big studio on like a 3-month contract, it's just not super appealing or conducive to having a marriage or a family or kids and stuff like that. So I mean, if I go back in time, I probably would have done it just for like 6 months to go work for like Tippett or something like that, and just get the experience and some of the contacts and network a little bit. But my end game was never to like go work for ILM and just be there the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like this, I don't know. Like when I was a kid, part of that's appealing to me, and it still is. But that's not like my end goal for what I want to do with my career.
Yeah.
So
what do you want to do? Like, what would be the ultimate thing?
So making my own films, which
I was gonna say, that's great.
So I'm in post on a film right now that I kickstarted a couple years ago, actually.
Okay.
Is that what you showed off last year at SIGGRAPH? That one shot you were tracking?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is one shot from that. Yep. So still working on that, and that's the other unfortunate part of the business. Is like in my free time, I get to work on my own stuff, but free time is
right.
Like it just depends. Being a freelancer, it's hard to turn down jobs.
For sure. Yeah.
Pay bills. We just bought a house and
yeah,
all that good stuff.
You're working on an independent project yourself that did you write and direct?
Yeah. So co-directed with a friend. Came up with a story. This is a short.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have multiple shorts. Kind of. I have an animated one, kind of in the making. And I participated in this Sundance directing class earlier this year. I came up with a film treatment for that for a feature. So trying to work on my own stuff, but it's one of those things where it's hard just because of the time commitment to it, and obviously doing what we do in the industry is also a time-consuming job.
Yeah,
but you're still doing it.
You're 136 shots in 3 months. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. You're still out there doing it though. I mean, especially multiple. Yeah. I can't say I have multiple shorts.
Yeah.
Except in my closet. But
there it is.
But doing what I can on some of that. But so at the end of the day, I think that is pretty much what I want to do for the most part. I mean, there's other little things in there that I'd like to do. I'm actually teaching a class at a university next month.
Cool.
Just trying out different things. And
so let me ask you this. So working on big budget films versus working on independent films and stuff like that. I can imagine with the independent films, the budgets aren't as high, so there's not as much, there's not as much. Which do you like more? I mean, for you, I would say from hearing what you're saying is definitely the independent films, Yeah. I don't know.
In many ways, I would say the independent ones, but at the same time, I honestly have mostly worked on independent films.
What are some of the caveats that come with working on an independent film?
Timelines, I would say, budgets. Maybe there's I guess it would kind of fall like a subcategory of timelines, like is maybe you wouldn't quite have the notice and the ability to do a lot more pre-production that you would want to do before things started.
Gotcha.
And that could be part one, could be just because some of the independent filmmakers have never even used visual effects before, aren't even
You're kind of
what
teaching them.
Oh man, so
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah.
Like sometimes they're like, oh, like dragons. It's like, no, we can actually do a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Like you know, there's a movie that I worked on. It's definitely available. I'm not sure what streaming places now, but it's called The Long Dumb Road.
Okay.
It's a road trip comedy.
Oh yeah, that's with what's his name? The dude from Brooklyn Nine-Nine and
yeah. And what was that fantasy football show?
Oh,
yeah.
The yeah. Ah, what is the name of that show?
But it's Jason something. I always forget his last name.
Jason
Yes,
Mantzoukas.
hilarious this guy.
Yeah, he's hilarious. He is funny. Yeah.
Tony, I'm gonna butcher his last name as well, but Tony like Ravioli or something.
The League.
Not Ravioli. Something. Yeah, The League.
Yeah.
He's in it too. He was like Flash Thompson in the new Spider-Mans, and he was in the Grand Budapest Hotel. He was like those are the main actors in it.
Yeah.
Both guys. But I did like probably around 50 visual effects shots for that film.
Wow.
I mean, that's like a road trip comedy. Like,
Man, you're a machine.
Like, here's the thing, like, and this is something that people don't always notice. Like, I mean, yeah, sure, that is not like a Game of Thrones, Marvel, whatever, but you still did 50 shots for just a regular story, show.
Effects. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The one time we've done VFX for, well, I mean, we've done
in
it
a direct to Amazon Scooby-Doo movie.
In a direct to Amazon Scooby-Doo movie. The whole thing that we were getting asked to do was basically remove a statue and put just a blank wall. And it's like,
so nobody even knows we did it. Nobody even knew it was a VFX
exactly.
shot.
Yeah. That's one of my I get really annoyed when I hear people talk about like a time for a rant, I guess, but
go for
it.
Hear it.
Like, oh, CG is terrible. We should go back to the old times and blah. CG always is getting hated on by lots of people in various different ways. Like, oh, this could have been a lot better, or Jurassic Park was so much better. You always hear these different things.
Right.
And sure, some of the stuff does maybe not look as good as certain
practically.
Things.
Yeah.
But right. Or for example, Mad Max. It's like, oh, see, more movies should be made like that. It was all like shot in camera. Oh, you mean that, and then it had over 1,000 visual effects shots.
Right.
But it's just when people aren't noticing all the visual effects they consume and see on an everyday basis, whether that be Netflix, going to the movie theater, TV shows, all kinds of stuff is happening. You just have no idea about. Because it's completely invisible.
Notice the bad VFX.
You only notice the bad VFX, or you only notice stuff that is obvious. Like, of course, a dragon wasn't shot practically.
Right.
Then at the same time, a lot of or was it? Yeah. But at the same time as well, like, a lot of visual effects, again, like you'll hear about like, oh, it's terrible visual effects, when actually, if you rewind that, it's probably more like terrible direction, terrible concept design.
Okay.
Like the very beginning of it, where it starts. Like, for example, I love using this example. I love Peter Jackson. I think he's amazing. Love Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, all good stuff. But so if you look at like Lord of the Rings versus The Hobbit, I can't remember which Hobbit it was. I think it was the second one. Like there's this scene like in the river, just like barrels, and they're like flying in the river, or remember like all the hobbits are in barrels, kind of.
I haven't seen
like this real long.
I haven't seen the Hobbit movies.
It's been a while. I don't remember
this one, but
it's been a while.
It's like this 2-minute scene of like them just like flowing down and all these barrels, and it's just really exaggerated. Like the camera moves are crazy. It's one of those things. Like for me, like the way the shot before the visual effects even started, it was kind of setting it up to fail, just because the cameras, for one, the cameras aren't grounded in any kind of sort of reality.
Right. Okay.
And secondly, it's just like they're doing really crazy, unrealistic things inside the barrels, jump into barrels, and like doing all these crazy, like gravity is not taking place and stuff like that.
Right.
So when you're adding that to it, like at that point, you're just really asking for people to like notice, like, oh, this is CGI or this is visual effects, because it's so obvious not going to happen in any kind of reality or practical wise.
Right.
For sure.
So a lot of it comes down to me, like design, direction and, you know, kind of what the director's vision and things like that before it even goes to visual effects. And then, of course, on top of that, you do always have visual effects companies are, of course, always up to, you know, crazy schedules and, oh, we need more and more and more. Like you might start, I mean, this happens to me even on a smaller scale.
Yeah.
Like, for example, that the road trip film, The Long Dumb Road, I think originally they brought me on to do like 8 shots or something.
Wow. And
And
that
of
turned
course
into 50.
And it turned into a lot more. And that happens all the time. So
Yeah.
that's on a smaller scale. So I can only imagine on a much bigger scale, like Hobbit or Avengers. Like, oh yeah, we're going to be like 1,500 shots and it goes to 2,000 easily. So, you know, so companies are always fighting against like crazy deadlines and budget. So yeah, so certain shots will suffer because of that as well, just because there's just not a time in the day or money allocated toward that.
Sure.
So you know, it's kind of reasons why some of those things suffer. But at the end of the day, too, like it is also true. Like I don't know if you call it lazy filmmaking, but yeah, there is a certain point where I think, you really should try to do absolutely the best you can to combine what you can do practically, what you can reasonably get inside the camera, and you know what you can do with visual effects, and combining those together.
For sure.
It's you know, because even like the film I worked on in 2015 called 1 and 2, like the main characters had teleportation effects. And you know, this is a film that was probably like, you know, I don't know the exact budget, but not over $1 million. You know, so pretty small film in the grand scheme of things. It may sound like a lot of money, but not a lot of money for a feature, especially a feature where the two main actors are teleporting. That's kind of ambitious for an indie film. But I think part of how we were able to pull that off.
Do not know the budget for that one.
Exactly. But part of the reason why we were able to pull that off is one, everyone really collaborating and coming together. But on set, for a lot of the teleportation effects, we you know, tried to do some stuff practically to try to sell that. So we had like a leaf blower on set, really high tech, and you know, we would shoot out some air at the talent like before they would you know, teleport, just to get, you know, kind of like the wind hitting them and, you know, just get some kind of real environment stuff happening to them before, you know, CGI takes over essentially.
For sure.
You know, combining other practical elements as well, as much as you can, and that's what Mad Max did really successfully. You know, they shot as much as they could.
Teleportation looks good. I'm checking out the trailer. Yeah, it looks nice.
They, you know, and Mad Max, you know, they shot as much as they could practically, and then used visual effects for what it's really good at as well, and combined, you know, both. And I think they obviously pulled off something pretty incredible with that.
What's your background?
Yeah.
I mean, I can assume that like, this is just my assumption is that, you know, you went to school. If your end goal is ultimately to direct your own feature or something, I can assume either you went to, you know, school for, you know, production or for something, because every one of us, whenever we go to any sort of school for production, we say, oh, I want to be director. That's everyone. That's what everyone, right?
Yeah. So that's 100% what I did. Again, if I could do things over, maybe I would change some things, but I guess we could all say that. So I went to a school like in their film / I guess video program, really.
Okay. Where'd you go?
It's called Lindenwood.
Okay.
Like it was like a private university. So this great school. They've evolved and really built up their program compared to when I was there. If I had a chance to do it over, and I was going to spend some of that money, I probably would have went somewhere else. But again, you know, I was young and naive, didn't really know what I was getting into. Plus,
I think when it comes to education, it's not so much where you're going or what you're learning, it's how much you put into it yourself.
That's always the case, but there are schools, I think, that do give you a leg up as far as like connections.
For sure. Yeah.
Like but no, you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter where you go. It's like whatever you put in is what you're going to get out of it, no matter what. But the main reason I went there is I had a basketball scholarship.
Oh, really?
That's pretty much the main reason I went there.
That's funny. That's funny. Why didn't you go pro, dude?
Right. I'm only like 6'3" with shoes on. That's just not.
All right.
Maybe not even 6'3". So, I still play.
Next time we meet up, we're gonna play 1-on-1. I haven't played in like years. You know.
Although I did hurt my back earlier this year, but that's another story for later in the show, maybe.
For later.
What's up with Missouri motion designers and back problems? I think there's a link.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Mitch has back problems too.
I tell you what, I had zero back problems until February of this year when I got hurt in a kickboxing class, and then further hurt it playing basketball 3 days later. and I went to the ER and all this great stuff.
Dang.
And now I'm still like,
see, that's what you get for working out. You know, you could just be like me, short and fat, and like, you know, in perfect health, no pain at all.
Yeah.
that sounds wonderful to me.
Oh, man.
but there's some things I wish I would have done, which I talk about later in the show. I wouldn't call them life hacks, but stuff I think that people that sit in chairs like us should always be doing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So
back to education, you know.
Yep. So I got my degree there. Yep.
Yeah. Is a bachelor's, I'm assuming?
Yep. That's a bachelor's. Yeah. And that was, while I was going there, of course, like you were talking about, everybody wanted to be directors,
Of course.
writers, and even some cinematographers as well. So it was kind of hit me. I was like, well, everybody wants to do that, and I kind of want to get a job after I graduate,
Right?
And make money as well in a career and stuff like that. And I was lucky enough to get a job right out of college making training videos for GM.
Awesome.
Yeah, did that for a year, kind of doing everything. Learned a lot. I learned that this is not what I wanted to do.
At what point? Okay, so like while you were working at that job, what were your main programs you're using? I'm assuming you're just editing and
cutting. Yep, Avid. Avid was the main program I was using to cut on, and then I was starting to teach myself a little bit of After Effects as well.
Okay. So when you came out of school, you didn't actually know any of the editing or anything like that.
I knew editing.
Yeah, I mean
motion
After Effects and stuff.
Yeah.
like
Avid
that.
and Final Cut Pro.
Yeah.
But I didn't know anything about After Effects.
Wow.
In fact, I didn't even learn Photoshop in school, which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
Kind of wild.
That is surprising.
But
so you learned full on like production, like lenses and stuff like that, how to.
lighting.
I'm assuming maybe how to reload film. Maybe
no, they didn't have film, unfortunately.
All right, you youngins.
Yeah, right. But at this job, after I certainly realized I did not want to do this, but while I was there, I took advantage of getting a salary and a paycheck, so I bought my own computer for home.
Nice.
I bought my own nice video camera.
Nice.
Basically for the sole purpose of, one, I wanted to like make stuff, but I also realized that, well, if this is what my job is going to get me, like, I don't know how I get from this to like making my own movies for a living.
Right.
But at the same time, I've always been fascinated with computer animation.
Okay.
And like visual effects and stuff. So I was like, why don't I just do that? So
I'm a VFX artist now.
Well, that's kind of the way I thought about it. But then I bought, computer, camera, like I had After Effects education, edition or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And same with Cinema 4D.
Mm-hmm.
And just started going crazy teaching myself. Like I'd go to work and learn a little bit of After Effects. I'd go back home after working like 8 hours, go right back to the computer and start going crazy teaching myself, almost to the point of like my wife, girlfriend back then, and even just like family. I was like, what are you doing? Like, why are you locked away in this room?
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm trying to like learn all this stuff. Like, takes time. Because everyone, there's lots of other people that are doing the same thing and want to be able to work on this and that. So it's like I gotta outwork really.
And it's all about dedication.
Yeah,
it pretty much is. So I just went crazy.
What it is.
Teaching myself that stuff, and probably like a year later, started to get a little bit of work here and there, kind of in the area, and then maybe like 6 months after that, when I got back.
You were still working at what was it, GM?
I was there for a year. And then, so during that time, I was kind of posting more. This is also like the days of forums online.
Okay. Yeah.
So, they're not quite as prominent as they used to be, but man, they were amazing when I first started.
Yeah.
Because it was a way that I was teaching myself this stuff. And so I knew I could go to like C4D Cafe and CG Talk and Mograph. I could put stuff on there, and I knew there was tons of artists and professionals that were there and working. So I can like post my work and get critiques. Like, it was like my own little school for me. I would just post a bunch of videos and get feedback. And that was actually how I started landing my work. And that's how I got the job on Duplicity and different things like that. Like people like would see the work and see the progression. And that's awesome. Pretty much what I did for lots of years and to get a lot better at it. So that was kind of my own little school. And I will say, it's kind of funny, the first 3D program I opened was actually Lightwave.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, because the GM place I worked at, they had a copy of Lightwave. I was like, oh, what's this? I was like, whoa, okay. There's like 2 different layouts for modeling and animation. This is weird. It's like 2 programs in one. So I made like some kind of crate and rendered it and stuff. And I was like, okay, well, it's got to be a better way. As I was searching some 3D programs, and that's when I found out. Even back then, Cinema 4D had like the tight integration with After Effects.
Oh yeah.
And that's how I discovered Cinema 4D, and the rest is history. Comes to that. But yeah, so besides like the college education I had, I pretty much just went crazy teaching myself all this stuff. And then I moved to Columbia, Missouri, and worked for an advertising agency for like 5 years, who also had they had a production wing as well. So we'd work on commercials and occasionally some small independent feature films. And that's kind of really where I kind of, cut my teeth as far as like working and learning all these different things. And at the same time, when I was doing that, I was still going crazy teaching myself stuff after I got off work, just like a madman, really. And eventually,
you don't still do that, do you?
Not near as much.
Not near as much.
But I mean, there's always like a part of me that just wants to learn more and figure out this and that. Especially because the world that we work in, the post world, is so vast.
For sure,
So many different skill sets. In fact, last year I took a character animation class that was taught by like Disney and Pixar animators.
Oh, rad!
It's like I've always wanted to learn character animation, and it's such a different discipline, of course.
What class did you take?
Let's see.
Please tell me. I want to take this class.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I want to go to there.
I want to go to there.
There's like various online things. I didn't take this one, but iAnimate is one. The one I took, it's escaping me right now. Let me think of the name. I'm looking it up right now. Something Squad. What was it called?
iAnimate.
That's cool.
Now, was it
a big one? Yeah, but let me think.
iAnimate.net is the one.
Yep.
Now, are they all using when they're so the classes that you're taking, were they in one specific program, or were they?
Yeah. So the program that I was part of was called Anima Squad. That's ANIMSQUAD. But there's another website too called Animation Mentor. But they're all kind of similar things that teach character animation from like working professionals. Usually it's like Disney, DreamWorks, Pixar. But yeah, so they were teaching Maya, which I had played with Maya like a long time ago. And kind of just never really went to it unless I really had to for something.
That's all of us.
So so that was also a little bit of a learning curve. But at the same time, like I wanted to take it just because I really wanted to learn like the animation principles. Of course, once you learn that, you can use whatever program you want. It doesn't really matter. Much like learning editing. Once you learn, editing and say Premiere or Final Cut, like editing's editing. It doesn't really matter what program you're in.
Yeah.
Just like
a cut is a cut, a dissolve is a dissolve.
Exactly.
And just whatever program you're going to use is going to be.
You're using After Effects compared to say Fusion or Nuke. Sure, there's a learning curve because of the node base versus layer base.
For sure.
But all the compositing concepts, it all translates. So like once you become a good compositor or know what you're doing, you can learn any compositing program. And the same goes for like 3D programs for the most part, especially if you're talking about learning animation.
Pedro in the chat is saying that Animation Mentor is great. He said he had friends that have taken it.
Animation Mentor. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, wow.
And do they teach you the basics of like the basic animation principles, like, squash and stretch and anticipation and stuff like that?
Yes.
Or is it more, do they also teach you the technical hands-on stuff of like, this is weighting, this is rigging? Okay, fantastic.
So they have rigging stuff, but the classes I took were specifically character animation. Just because sometimes rigging wants me to like, or I want to jump off a building sometimes when I'm rigging.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
So I specifically want to learn character animation, knowing that I could always pay somebody to rig something or find a rig online. Like I really wanted to focus on character animation. Gotcha. Which to me, there's again, this is different for everybody, but to me, like that was more of like the art side of it, whereas rigging is a much more technical process. Not to say that obviously there's art involved in anything you're doing with the computer and rigging and stuff, but for me, like character animation was a much more like, oh, I can be my own filmmaker and make this character do whatever I want and direct this and that. And that was kind of my thought of doing it because I wanted to make some animated shorts, and I can do every other aspect, but it's like character animation is the part where I can't really do that. I'm getting better at it, but
For sure.
So what about now
takes
when
practice.
you are? This is what I want to know is your percentage
Sure.
of what you're using now. Because here's the thing, I think Mograph, I think like, oh, you're in Cinema 4D all day. If I think VFX, I'm like, oh, you're doing comps and After Effects all day. I want to know, as a VFX person now, there's so much more 3D involved and everything. What are the percentages of time that you spend with these programs?
Yeah. So let me first start off with so After Effects was like the first like visual effects or motion graphics program that I learned. I learned that before I even learned Photoshop, which was weird.
Wow.
When I got into Photoshop, I was like, wait a second, this is different. Like I remember taking like photos in After Effects because I was so much more comfortable knowing how to do that and do stuff in there. But of course, now I know Photoshop well, but
I would hope.
yeah. So then I learned some of the 3D stuff. But to answer Dave's question, I mean, it depends on the project, really. But so, for example, Native Son, the feature that I was talking about earlier, that was on HBO, 130 something shots. I probably comped 60% of those in After Effects, roughly, maybe 40% in Nuke. I use both. I love Nuke, but I also love After Effects.
But why?
What
is the
what makes you decide to use After Effects over Nuke?
Mainly, it's just because I've literally been using it for like a decade. So, or I mean, over a decade, really. So. I'm still pretty fast in it, and I still know what I need to do, and for certain. So I used After Effects for a lot of like some of the green screen car stuff and blue screen stuff, just because I knew exactly I had a workflow that I was using, and I had it streamlined pretty well using After Effects. So that was kind of the main reason I did for that. But there's also like certain plugins for After Effects, and Mocha, for example, integrates really well with After Effects. So that was kind of a reason I did use After Effects a lot. But of course, Mocha does integrate with Nuke pretty well too, but not quite as good as After Effects. But for me, so between After Effects and Nuke, like Nuke, and I think node-based compositing in general really shines when you have like a really massive comp happening, especially you're talking about CG integration into like live action, or just fully CG as well. But just like when you're and for example, I'm sure we've all been in After Effects comps when you have like hundreds of layers and you got pre-comps going on, you're just like losing your mind because there's so much going on and it's getting slower.
I remember the first time I hit over 20 layers and I was like, I'm doing this all wrong.
Exactly. And you have like certain sources when you're in Nuke in a big project that you could just use that same node as the source over and over again, and you can't do it like that in After Effects.
Precisely. You can like, I'll work on a comp in Nuke, for example, and like, okay, this is pretty good, and I have shots that are pretty similar to this. So I'm just going to save this as a different version, take this node and import my footage into this node, and okay, maybe not half of my work, but some of my work's already done because it's a very simimer comp anyways. So I can kind of work that way.
You ever export out of Nuke and then bring it into After Effects and fine tune it?
Never been from Nuke to After Effects. No. Okay. But I have gone from like Nuke into Cinema and some Cinema back into Nuke for like some 3D. And that's the other part where Nuke or say Fusion shines because it really does have a real true 3D, space. As opposed to After Effects is.
After Effects is crap 3D.
Right. So, obviously shines in that area. But for Native Son, like there's just scenes that were required probably more CG related things. I was definitely inside of Nuke more. And then I would say, to answer your question originally as well, Dave, I do use Cinema all the time still.
Yeah.
And to talk a little bit about the rendering we talked about previously, using Arnold and Redshift, it kind of depends on the project, but maybe like 50-50. It just depends. Like on this movie, for example, I probably used Arnold half the time and Redshift the other half the time.
Well, that's interesting because most people in most situations would be either all CPU, all GPU. How do you handle that?
Yeah. Well, for one, I think nowadays with technology and render farms, like I feel like anybody can use a CPU one. It doesn't really matter what your local machine is.
For sure.
And then GPU, I mean, I guess technically GPU, you can send stuff to farms now too.
Yeah.
But I guess the reasoning behind it was one, so I had a shot where I was doing like making a rat and like, fur and all this different stuff and lighting it. And I'm just, for one, I love the way Arnold looked of, how you operate in Arnold with the looked of, because the IPR is super fast. Things just load. And I love the look, which I feel like people compare it a lot to, say, Octane. Like it has a pretty photorealistic look.
It does,
kind of right out of the box.
Yeah.
And I just really loved working with it. I really do feel like a digital or virtual cinematographer when I'm working in Arnold. Like, oh yeah, I could do this. Lights go over here, and this makes sense. Oh, that looks like what I would expect it to look like in real life. Excellent.
Right.
Yeah.
So I do like to use that a lot when I'm lighting photorealistic stuff. But especially when it came to like fur and rendering like millions of strands. I had testing before previously. I made some stuff with Arnold and Redshift. Using fur, and both programs did pretty well, but Arnold just like never really crashed on me when I got in situations with millions and millions of hair, and the fact that I knew I was going to be sending it to a render farm. I was like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable with this workflow. On the other hand, there's a shot toward the end of the film where it's like a locked off live action plate, right? And then the director was like, okay, we need this shot to look like it's the last shot of the film, so it's got to be like amazing, and this voiceover happens. I was like, oh, this is a shot.
I need it to just boo.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
And it was
sound
one of those
effects.
things that wasn't even discussed beforehand. It was after like after we did all the shooting. It was one of those like a phone call I had. It's like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this other shot. It's the end of the film. And it's like really important. I was like, okay, great. Let me take a look at that.
It's just an afterthought. It's the most important shot of the movie, but I forgot to mention it.
Yeah. NBD.
Now luckily, like I was working with the Oscar-nominated cinematographer,
Right.
which I think he just won an Oscar this year, maybe. I can't
Oh,
remember,
no.
but he was nominated again. Anyway, so I'm working from obviously like pretty amazing footage. I got to
Right.
start with. So, but it was a locked off shot, and it needed movement. The sky needed to be replaced. It was like looking up through a warehouse. Just needed to be like heavenly looking, and all these different things came into play. I was like, oh, okay. I got to do some major work to this. So immediately, I already knew I was going to start in cinema. Because I camera projected the whole scene using Projection Man inside Cinema 4D. And for me, like I think Redshift has some pretty great atmosphere tools, and because it's GPU, it can still render pretty quick. So I was like, okay, so what I want to do is have like this beautiful sky and this atmosphere and like these god rays kicking into this warehouse. That I'm gonna have to create that because I wasn't shot like that. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna use Redshift for this. It made sense to me. And that's kind of how I decided to use Redshift for that shot in particular. And so kind of went crazy doing all that. And a lot of that work was in cinema. And then I did eventually send it to a render farm and I comped that one all in Nuke. Again, using Nuke because it was pretty heavily CG augmented afterwards, much like some of the rat stuff. I just for me, Nuke really shines when it comes to those large giant comps and just with integrating CG.
Yeah. What's Projection Man? Why haven't I heard of this?
Yeah. So Projection Man
You
is
ever
a
heard of
manager.
Projection Man?
It's a manager
It's been
inside
around.
Cinema 4D. So like if you open Cinema and go to like the windows and you can different the layouts, different layouts. I believe there's one. I think there's one for Projection Man, or if it might be in a different
there
window,
might
I can
be.
tell you. I can tell you where it's at. But basically, Projection Man is a layout and kind of workflow built into Cinema 4D that I believe it was Sony Image Pictureworks developed at their studio for matte painting and projections. They kind of go together. So Projection Man is a let me show you where it's at right here. Let's see.
Is it like the camera calibrator and stuff like that?
You can use the camera calibrator within it, but really it's just a manager.
Okay.
It's been around long. It's been around in cinema.
Been
for
around a while.
Yeah.
Very few people talk about it or use it.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the things that maybe seems scary, but I actually have some stuff on Cineversity that I've shown on it in the past, some tutorials and things like that. But basically, it's a manager that helps you with doing camera projections. That's like the sole purpose, like a layout and manager to help with that, and it connects with Photoshop, so you can like start doing a camera projection. And because if you're doing a camera projection in a matte painting, you're probably also using Photoshop. There's a good chance.
Right.
So it connects and talks with Photoshop, so you can like do a projection, but say you move your camera to a certain angle, whereas like now your projection's breaking because there's no texture there anymore. You can send that immediately to Photoshop within the projection manager, and Photoshop will open up, and your layer with that CG object will pop up in Photoshop, and you can just paint that layer, save it out, and it automatically updates inside Projection Man and Cinema 4D. So it's a really fast utility and workflow for camera mapping and matte paintings inside of Cinema 4D.
Super cool. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. And one of the other reasons I wanted or I pretty much knew I needed to do that for that shot in that film was because they wanted the camera move to happen. And, a camera move, if you were just to do that in post, like a scaling up thing, like
Right.
you're not getting any perspective and the
Yeah,
depth.
Yeah.
So
for
it's not
sure.
going to parallax. So I knew I had to do some projections in there to really feel that parallax, even though it was a slow moving shot. But yeah, that's pretty much. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. I think it's just because I started using Arnold first as well. I'm just really comfortable with it. Before Redshift even came out.
They do feel
But
similar.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of one of those things I was talking about earlier. Like once you learn, like editing, compositing, lighting, rendering, shading, like it's not all that.
They transfer over. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, you learn the quirks, you learn some different nodes, but you'll be able to figure it out if you experiment and play with it a while.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I will say a shout out to Arnold. The tune shader in that was pretty sick. I just started playing with it.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. I know Chad's, speaking of Chad from earlier, actually he has some pretty cool tests he's done with the tune shader in Arnold. It's pretty,
Yeah.
I've seen
pretty
those.
impressive.
They're pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
you want to do some links? I have just 2 quick links that I wanted to do. We can talk about real quick, and then we're gonna do we're gonna kind of circle back around because I feel like with the film and with the film background, I think we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about in the Mograph recommends section. So,
Yeah.
real quick, I wanted to mention Kit Bash 3.0. If you haven't seen, like they've got native file formats
Yeah,
and render
so-
engines now, so
Super cool.
check
Really?
that out. That's really cool.
Although I did notice, I could be wrong, but I feel like they don't have Redshift set up for Cinema 4D, which is weird.
Oh, weird.
Do they have
Yeah.
Redshift for anything else?
Yeah, I think I saw a Redshift for.
Well, I
3D.
was gonna say if they've got Redshift, couldn't they just do Redshift proxies and just bring those right in?
I mean, probably so, but they really should just create the shaders all inside Cinema 4D natively as well.
True.
That's
But
pretty
yeah,
much
Kit Bash
yeah.
is awesome.
Where do I see
Yeah,
this? Where is it on Kitbash 3D?
Yeah, if you go to Kit Bash and like their blogs and news, it's called Introducing Kits 3.0 and has some information on it there. I don't remember how I got to it. I think I read it in a newsletter, so that's how I got to
I
it.
got a newsletter as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Introducing
got
a
Kits
website
3.0.
somewhere.
Okay, cool.
yeah,
Yeah, see, I did a whole new setup on my desk, so I've got like a vertical monitor now
yeah.
Mhm.
for reading like websites and stuff, and sometimes it scales stuff weirdly.
Nice.
Al- Also, there's a video that I came across online this week, how to stick objects to fractured geometry in Cinema 4D.
cool.
And it goes through,
Nice.
like a piece of land with grass and trees and everything on it, and does the destruction with the Voronoi, the macaroni fracture, as we call it. And so it's how to attach things to that. That's all I have for links this week, but I did want to hop over to an email. Travis Ragsdale, our fellow Dallas listener who we just met, he said, I've got a couple ideas for podcast topics. I'm new to the community, so I'm not sure if you've already covered this stuff. So we'll just run through it here. He said, wanted to know the importance of events like NAB, SIGGRAPH, Camp Mograph. Says, as an animator, I've never gone to any events, and many of the tickets are pretty pricey, and I just want to know what I'm going to get out of it before I make the investment. So what's your perspective?
Well,
since
you'll
you go
never
to, like,
know
all of
unless
them?
you show up, right?
Yeah, so number one, I would say NAB. Like, go to NAB. That's like the number one
Yeah.
thing. Go to NAB because you're going to have a great time. SIGGRAPH.
NAB is probably one of the cheapest ones that you can go to because you can stay at a super crappy hotel. You can get a super cheap flight. I mean, honestly, you can do like 5 days in NAB for $300 or $400. Like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think SIGGRAPH would be like NAB light in a way. You're not going to get as many of the people coming to it, but also it is fully graphics oriented.
Yeah, it is 3D
You know, video
oriented,
games
so,
and all that. So there's kind of that
some
balance.
of the ones that you like for example, like Otoy or Redshift or Side Effects, like they won't be at NAB, you know, besides just coming and hanging out, but they will have a booth at SIGGRAPH,
Yeah.
and vice versa.
Yeah. And the content that you will see, even things like with Maxon, you're going to see maybe a little more VFX related type stuff in a way, a little more of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It has that kind of feel. Those are the two. Half Res is great. It's more of just a relaxed hang out with your friends type situation than it is like going to a bunch of stuff, because the actual event for Half Res is only a few hours long, honestly. So it's like you go and like we're doing, we hang out in an Airbnb and we go drinking with the friends and all that. And then at the end we go to the actual meetup. So
yeah. So in the chat, he said, do you feel like the main thing at the events is just learning about the new stuff coming out, or is it more of a networking community thing? So it depends on which event you're going to.
So, I mean,
it is kind of both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with me, I guess with SIGGRAPH, they normally announce like a new version, every year. And so SIGGRAPH is a chance to kind of learn about all these new updates and stuff like that. Except with NAB, with like Adobe, every year that I went previously, like before I was into Cinema 4D, I would always go and hang out at the Adobe booth because they were always showing off all the new features of their latest update. So with those, it was always to go just to like kind of get more training and see what some of the professionals were using. This was when I was early in my career, and I really wasn't doing any networking. I
don't know if you would call it training, I was going there per se. Like presentations, I wouldn't consider training. Training, I consider you have a screen in front of you. Well, you've seen like Black Magic.
I mean, you're watching the way people are using the tools,
right?
And that completely will change some of the ways that you work within that software,
right?
To me, that is kind of training. I mean, being able to watch the way people work in the software, and seeing the new stuff, but then like eventually you start to make friends and stuff with people, and you start to get to know people, and you start to go to some of the parties, and then it becomes more of a community thing.
Right.
And then you're going to some of these events. Like, for example, Half Res, we're going just to hang out. We're going to hang out and support the people who are presenting and, being there just to have some fun. SIGGRAPH, we're working the booth, but we're going also to learn and also to network and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're going to like meet people from Notch as well while we're there and start learning about these other kind of like live compositing tools and things like that. And but the training, see, to me, I think training, like sitting in front of a computer, and you see Black Magic and some of these people setting up booths at these places with like a bunch of computers, and you sit down and you kind of learn that way. You're actually doing. I feel like presentations, they're training, but you're just watching. You're not actually doing it on your computer. I mean, unless you want to bring a laptop in the audience and try it or something. But then we do go to a lot of them. Camp Mograph is going to be different in its own way.
Yeah. It's going to be a chance to network and hang out. And, it's to me, it feels more of like a hands-on art type stuff, like getting back to your artistic roots and stuff like that.
Well, and we're
getting a chance to hang out and getting a chance just to like really just chill and relax with a bunch of people that you admire.
Yeah, and Camp Mograph is something we're actually putting on, so I would definitely recommend that.
Of course.
So
it looks really cool.
Yeah. The other question is, as an Octane user for about 2 years, I'm wondering what you think about learning multiple render engines versus sticking with one. Do you think that since Maxon acquired Redshift, every C4D user should try and learn it? He said because it will probably be integrated in the future. We don't know about the integration per se.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's integrated, but we don't know if it's like going to come with it or something like that, But it is one of those things where like I'm presenting, I'm learning on some more things about Redshift, but in my presentation specifically, I am going to talk about the reason that you should know more than one render engine, which mainly is for two things. If you have to have the right tool for the job. That's number one. And number two, if you're not working like business to business, if you're working with another company that's producing something, if they're doing something in Redshift, you have to know Redshift in order to get that gig.
Yeah.
Right? Or if
Yeah.
they're doing Octane, you have to know Octane. You have to know what tool to use. Or Josh, in your example, like Arnold, sometimes you got to use Arnold. So, you know, that there is no one singular answer for that question. And I think it's this thing that we've got to break where, oh, well, you know, Octane's the best. And I'm only going to learn Octane and only use Octane the rest of my life. You just can't.
Like, I don't like that mentality.
Yeah.
And that mentality is a little bit like, yeah, people joke around the render wars, you know, but it doesn't have to be a render war. It could be a render treaty, you know, a render, you know, a render collective, you know, where we're all working together to make render engines better.
Yeah, this is Geneva,
you know?
and yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, it's definitely not a render war for me. I feel like the more you know from each of them, you can find their strengths and when you want to use this one, when you want to use that one.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Because if, you know, yeah, you're totally right. Some things are better than others at handling different stuff. You know?
I mean, look at TFD, for example. like
I'm just going to say.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer it right now. I'm still learning it, like everything about it right now in Redshift, but like in Octane, I feel more comfortable with TFD. And Matt, you use standard render for TFD stuff and just comp it.
I don't like using TFD in anything but standard because it's just, to me, it's just faster in standard renderer, you know?
So,
I
and then
mean,
for me,
Mm-hmm.
oh, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to say, I just comp everything after the fact.
Sure,
you know?
sure. So I've actually been using Turbulence since it first came out, like in the first beta, like in 2010 or 11, long time ago. And yeah, obviously for a while, all the thing that was available was standard renderer for it.
Yeah.
So I do know how to use that. But most recently, so this year I had two projects: the commercial, the Xbox one, Devil May Cry. I did use Turbulence in that. I used Arnold to render it.
Yeah.
I
How
used
is
Turbulence. So there, it's pretty fantastic. I mean, obviously, again, I hope you're sending it to a farm.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might wait a while.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful, and I think it integrates really, really well. And to me, I was more comfortable using it in Arnold as opposed to Redshift for for the look I was trying to get. I got it faster in Arnold. I was like, all right, done. And there's another project I use, which I recommend checking it out. You can see some Cinema 4D work. It's on Netflix now. It's called the Unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience.
Yeah. That's with
Lonely
Lonely
Island.
Lonely Island. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Yeah.
So there's a bunch of Cinema 4D work in that. And there's a shot I did use Turbulence in that as well, and I rendered it in Arnold. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I love how it works with Arnold. I think it works pretty well, and it does work really well in Redshift too, which I've used it in that. But so far, I prefer the results in Arnold with it so far.
And there's certain aspects too that are only available with certain engines. Like, for example, Jan brought up on the Redshift Facebook this week. He's trying to learn more about the subgrid detail that's in TFD, which I know nothing about, like velocity displacement, noise intensity, smallest, largest size,
Yeah,
and
it's the
period.
stuff you can kind of do on the post side of a simulation to add more detail to it.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know. I guess it works very well with standard, but he was like, I'm trying to figure out how to get this working with Redshift. There's certain things that just don't do anything.
It does work well with standard. I know in Arnold you can use the subgrid noise on it. But I'm not sure. I haven't tested the velocity displacement yet because, for one, to get that to work, you actually have to cache the velocity.
Yeah.
When you're doing a sim, and that's more data.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're uploading it to a render farm. So I was like, nope, I won't need that.
Yeah, that's off by default. Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is the subgrid and the what's the other one? When you're like recaching it, when you're the upresing.
Oh,
the upresing stuff has to have velocity cached and all of that if you're going to do that. Yeah. So, yeah, interesting. Let's see. And then a quick one. Any good audiobook recommendations for designers and motion graphic artists? Is there a book version of Freelance Manifesto? Audiobook version?
Oh, I was about to say, it is a book, Dave.
An audiobook version of that?
I don't know. If not, we need to get Joey's silky smooth voice. You know,
Yeah.
onto that.
I think the subtle art of not giving a F
Yeah.
is probably a good audio book. I read that, listened to it, whatever you call it. Can you say that you've read a book if you listen to it?
Sure.
Can you use that term? Okay.
Yeah, dude. I've read the 7th Harry Potter book at least a dozen or 2 times.
There you go.
Right. Okay. And yeah, I don't know. Anything else as far as audiobooks or books in general that might be an audiobook?
I don't know. The Animator's Survival Kit, that's one of my favorites. It talks a lot about animation principles and stuff like that.
Mhm.
It's
It's
pretty
on my
awesome.
desk right now.
There you
Yeah, a
go.
lot of people have that sitting around.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, he says, loving the podcast. Keep it up. So,
Thanks, man.
yeah. Okay. Now it's time to do Beeple's People.
Oh.
This is gonna,
Yay.
This is going to be a good one. All right. So, take out your Beeple viewer of choice.
I think Beeple's just purposely making some of these to be like, I wonder if they're gonna show this on the show.
I doubt that.
Let's see how crazy I can get before they actually decide not to put one on the show.
Okay, well, here's the first thing that we need to talk about is the fact that Joe Rogan did his own Beeple's People.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Didn't call it that, but, you know, it essentially was that, you know. So, I don't know if I can pull this up, find the
speaking
time
of
code.
Beeple,
Uh-huh.
so this is funny. Like, what was it? Earlier this week, I was going through. So I set up my own Instagram. You know, like an artist Instagram.
Artist
It's
Instagram, yeah.
_ Matt Milstead. In case anyone wants to follow me, you know, hit them likes and what hearts and whatever. Anyway, whatever. So I was looking for people to follow. You know. And so I went to Beeple and I was going through the people that he follows, and then I saw he was following. Oh, who was it? One of the Jonas Brothers. And so I circled it. I circled it and wrote WTF, and then I sent it to him. I was like, dude. And he goes, dude, he follows me. So, you know, I follow him
That's
back.
funny.
And so I was scrolling along. I was like, does Miley Cyrus also follow you? Because you're following her. And he's like, yep, you know it. It's
That's
like,
funny.
okay, cool. Joe Jonas and Miley Cyrus are following people.
So
That's
many
awesome.
people, like, follow him that I know that have no idea, like, that's the
who
industry.
he
They
is.
just happen to follow
Yeah.
him because they like the work. He transcends,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the whole
Transcends
thing.
Mograph.
Yeah, he transcends. So, I mean, that was the whole thing is that this week, Joe Rogan showed his Trump deal with the Hillary head, like the Krang,
Yeah.
the Krang of Trump's. That animation,
Great.
he showed some of the other stills that he's done, the Kim Jong ones and all that. I just love his commentary because it's like, man, it's just so dope. It's just so dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was so freaking awesome, dude. Like, I was like super happy that he got that recognition. And again, you know, I think we talked about it on the show last week, but the recognition is there. And when because we talked about the tweet. We talked about the tweet last week, but I don't think we
Yeah.
talked about the actual video because it hadn't come out yet.
No, it hadn't come out.
But he
yet.
gave him the recognition, you know,
Yeah,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and that's the whole thing. And he said repost. He said this artist, and they talk about this artist. He's
Yeah.
not taking his stuff and like using it for his own advertisements or whatever, you know. Man, Joe
Yeah.
Rogan looks really stoned right there. But all right. Anyway, I think I called him Seth Rogen by accident at one point. I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah, he brought up the one with the Trump and the big
Loincloth.
tanks, you know, and
Yeah.
all that. But yeah, that was just so cool. I was like, man, that is like super awesome. So, congrats for continuing to transcend. Anyway,
Yep.
For real. Yeah, that's awesome.
we're going to go to our Beeple viewer of choice. Mine's Twitter. We're going to go to July 9th, Year of Our Lord 2019, and pull up the one called Master Plan.
Master plan.
Master
Ooh, pretty.
Plan. And I like this because I'm pretty sure we've seen this cloak guy recently, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm really starting to wonder, like, who the cloak guy is, especially with the title called Master Plan. You
Are
know?
those Kit Bash 3D ones? wonder
I
if
don't
those
know,
get
but he
that
uses those tanks a lot. Those
Yeah.
spherical
It's
tanks.
beautiful. It's a
I'll be right
beautiful
back, guys.
composition.
Bathroom.
Sure,
Sure.
man. Ha! There's
He's
a great chance. Yeah.
right.
This is.
Well,
Why is it whenever someone says people, I have to go to the
right.
bathroom?
We're all Pavlov's dog now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll start hitting the bell too, at the same time and whatever.
funny.
The story. This is interesting because in my head I've got this whole storyline going that I'm thinking about, and this is, since it does say master plan, like this is one of the bad guys. They're cooking to something up.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
It's all
It could be
going
like a
according to
Jedi.
plan.
Like they could be a Jedi.
We really have to bring the Star Wars
infiltrate.
universe into this.
I'm just saying the Jedi were cloaked, as well.
I don't want to bring
So
Star Wars into the
assume-
Beepleverse.
Don't assume just because someone is cloaked that they're a bad guy. You never know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I have
All
a
right.
name for the villain, and I think.
Oh,
this,
yeah?
Yeah. No, I'm not going to reveal
Let's
it
hear
yet.
it.
No, I'm not going to reveal
All
it
right.
yet. It's somebody that he's mentioned before, and I was like, no, this is definitely the villain.
It's General Grievous, isn't it? General
It
Grievous.
is a general, though. It's a general.
Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah. No. It's a
Emperor
general.
Palpatine.
But I think that this could be the general later on in the timeline, and now he's cloaked. Because
Okay.
that's what you do, man. First, you're in the military.
Okay, you become evil and
Become
then you
evil,
cloak
and then you
yourself?
cloak yourself. That's just, it's almost
Okay.
a requirement. Cloaking yourself is a requirement these days.
Maybe.
So if you ever see me cloaked, you know I'm evil. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Anything else about this? The spotlights, I think
It's a
those were
beautiful
post.
composition. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful composition.
Mhm.
I love the use of color. I think the colors work really well together. There's something about the teal blue or whatever and like the pinks.
Yes.
Just they're I love the use of those two colors together. I think are just gorgeous.
Yeah. And all right, so we'll take out the okay. This is the next one. This is July 10th. This is called Organic Testosterone Milking Day.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
So
I mean, that's obviously a big people,
Bean
right?
belts.
I mean, so that's how that I guess they make big people just like they make little people, you know?
and they're milking the testosterone from his crotchal region. And,
Ridiculous.
but why is the question? Why do they need to
I
milk
told you
so much
that's how they
testosterone?
make the big people, you know?
By milking testosterone? I don't understand.
Well, I mean, you don't want it's genetics, dude, you know? Like I don't need to tell you how big people are made, you know. Big people babies are made.
The mommy
you know.
the mommy big people and the daddy big people
Right.
share a special hug. Well, no, but why the testosterone? What are they using? This is testosterone specifically. Why is the testosterone needed? Like, are they using it for something? And it was really confusing. Is that
Maybe.
you have like
maybe that's like they use that for drugs, you know, it's a
Do you-
like a soma type thing.
do you think
or
maybe they
something,
inject
you
it
know?
into some of the other ones to like beef them up, like steroids, like the testosterone?
Maybe.
Well, what are the pigs doing in there? That's my question. That's pretty
Oh,
unsanitary.
I didn't even see the pigs.
Yeah,
Oh, yep, neither did I.
the pigs
I
are.
was too focused in the crotchal region.
Yeah, that's funny. Your eye is really drawn to the crotchal region in this, and so, of course, he's got the lighting. You got to uplight
I
that.
tend to have that problem.
Right.
Yeah. What is the? But the pigs, I don't understand the pigs. Why it's so unsanitary? You got the people in the suits, in those clean suits because it's supposed to be a clean room, but yet you have pigs, and I don't understand that. So
I think he just needed something to help balance out the weight.
Oh,
of the
so
room.
definitely
so
a
he's
pig
like,
is
let's
obvious
just throw
choice.
A couple pigs.
yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
You know, yeah, I don't know.
He also has one cable coming out of his nipple.
He does, yes.
I'm not sure if something's going in or coming out, but you never know.
Oh my gosh.
Not
All
bad,
right.
though. I'm going to have to ask him about that in person because I'm very curious about the pigs.
Maybe
Yeah.
the pigs are robotic.
They could
yeah.
be. They could be. Yeah, that way they're sanitary. That makes sense. Yeah. God, the painting look that he's been applying to some of these is just killer. Love it.
Yeah.
Because it's not too much.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it looks amazing.
It's totally subtle, like it works perfect. You can't even see it most of the time when you're looking at just the thumbnail. So,
Yeah.
all right, last one.
Does he render in Octane?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, most of the time I would
He
say,
does
right?
it in Octane, but then he adds like a post effect or something
Sure.
using what is it, Zomax or something like that.
Zoma?
I don't remember.
I don't know. All right. July 12th.
Is that what we're
The
doing?
title of this is Rocket Zuck going ape shit on some bald eagles for not sharing.
For not sharing?
For not
Like
sharing.
not sharing, liking.
That's
or,
my question. Because they're not sharing on Facebook, or because they're not sharing
like their eggs.
their eggs or their food. Maybe he's looking to get some regurgitated food from the eagles.
Well, you know,
and
that
not
is
sharing.
how Mark Zuckerberg actually sustains, gets sustenance. Is
Eagle's eggs?
he has someone else chew up his food and then they barf it into his mouth. That is a true story about Mark Zuckerberg that
Yeah.
really happens.
Yeah, I bet.
He's so rich he has someone else chew his food
Yeah.
for him.
So does he want the eggs?
I
Because he's
don't
not
know.
sharing.
This is so stupid.
I think he wants the eggs.
This whole thing is so dumb.
I know, it's great. It's so dumb, it's good, though. That's the thing. Man, I mean, a nickel for every time I've had that problem with
Right.
eagles not sharing their eggs with me. Do you think maybe it's the egg thing? He's looking for, like, the finest eggs. He's got to make the finest omelets. I mean, he's rich. He can have bald eagle egg omelets if he wants.
Gosh, could you imagine?
Eating
He
them-
doesn't need them. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Maybe he does Fabergé out
This
of them.
segment is so dumb.
I love that. Where does he get all of these? Like, where does he
I
get
bet
all
you it's
these
Turbo
faces?
Squid. Let me look at Turbo
I
Squid.
mean,
I bet you
can
anything.
you get a
can
Mark
find
Zuckerberg head on Turbo Squid?
Sure, why not? Turbo
Okay.
Squid. Let's see. Mark. How do you spell Mark? Mark Zuckerberg.
M-A-Q.
There we go. Yeah, there it is.
Okay. Oh, you found it? That's funny.
Yeah. There's a couple of busts of him.
Hmm.
Yep, and he looks stoned and robotic,
Well, that's
just like he does in real life.
I know. He's a parched lizard. All right.
Funny.
Well, enough of that.
$35 for a Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, wow.
Oh, totally worth it.
Yeah.
Totally.
All right, let's move on. And let's go
All right.
to Mograph Recommends, because I feel like this is going to be an interesting discussion here.
Yeah.
So we've got this list here. I don't know if you've gone over this ahead of time or not, Josh, but we're going to go through the list here. Number 1, we want to know what your favorite movie is.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's pretty tough to pick just one.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes I can change almost on a weekly basis.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Depending on my mood and things like that. But I can tell you some films that I've seen a lot and or continue to inspire me and stuff like that, that I would, even just directors. So how about I start with, let's see. Are you familiar with Jim Jarmusch at all?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Independent filmmaker from New York City. He actually just had a film come out to probably the most theaters he's ever had a film go to, I would say. But he has a film called Dead Man. It's pretty great. Another one you may have seen called Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai.
Mm-mm.
That
That's pretty
sounds
awesome.
familiar, but I don't think I've definitely not
And then
seen
he had
it.
a film in 2013 that I was fortunate enough to see at Sundance when I was there working on a different movie screening, but it's called Only Lovers Left Alive. It's like a vampire film.
I've seen Coffee and Cigarettes.
Oh, okay.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
But The Only Lovers Left Alive has Tom Hiddleston in it,
Okay.
and Tilda Swinton, but it's pretty great. That's just one that's kind of a more of an indie guy that
Mhm.
not someone that people always talk about. Of course, 2001, Space Odyssey.
Of course. Yeah.
Can't go wrong with that. Jurassic Park still is one of those films when it comes on, I just still watch it.
Yep.
Like, every time it just pulls in. Not to mention it's also one of the films that, as far as computer animation and visual effects goes, I remember even as a kid, I think I was like 10 when I saw it. But it's like what? Like, how did they do this? And what is that? And what? Just blew me away. Also, I remember a TV show around that time. Did you guys ever see a show called Movie Magic?
Movie Magic. That sounds familiar.
I believe you can probably find it on YouTube. I believe Discovery Channel did it, but it was such a cool show in the 90s where they showed like visual effects and special effects of movies of that time. Pretty inspiring show. I was like, well, I want to do that one.
Oh yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, Travis,
Find
sorry.
Every single episode.
Travis, I just got Travis's joke about Zuckerberg. They're not sharing smoked meats. Have you seen that video with Zuck?
Yeah.
No? Okay, never mind. I'm assuming that's... Sorry, I completely broke the flow. Keep
Oh, no,
going.
you're totally good.
Every episode of Movie Magic is on YouTube.
You got to check one out.
Yeah.
Let's see, Ex Machina from not that long ago. Amazing,
Right?
Yep.
Alex Garland in general is pretty much a genius. The director writer of that. He also wrote what is it? What's the zombie? Is it 25 Days Later or 24?
28 days later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I'm so terrible with titles and and names. Always. I don't know why.
Isn't that the one that was
Names
shot on an
all
XL2 and updated?
Yeah,
Yep.
something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Jaws. It's still, I think, is a pretty amazing film.
Such a great movie.
It's such a good film.
I only
so
saw that. I maybe saw that like 8 years ago for the first time. I was doing an edit for someone and they wanted to use Jaws, so I just started watching it, and I was amazed at how great of a movie it is and how well it still holds up to today.
Yeah. And of course,
Because
we all know by now the story of why I think one of the reasons it's so effective is because of all the problems they had, with the mechanical shark on set, which makes it much more of a horror film, which is still one of those things I still like preach today. Like, less is more, less is more.
Yeah, they did that on purpose so it wouldn't be cheesy, right? Wasn't that
well, the shark was having problems, so like it wasn't working, so they had to improvise and they just couldn't show it as much.
Yeah.
So it worked out better for them. They had to get creative.
I want to say like that was, I don't know. I mean, they created like, what's the word? Anticipation or like,
suspense,
like
anticipation,
suspense.
Yeah.
They created suspense through
Yep.
that without actually showing anything. And I think it's something that like Stranger Things season 1 does really well. Like they don't show the monster as much, you just get tiny little hints of it, and it just creates this intense suspense, super great.
So a few more I'll just name off. So this is from the 60s, but 8.5 by Fellini, definitely something you should check out.
Okay.
Let's see. There's a director I love named Wong Kar-wai. He did a movie called Chungking Express, which I saw in film school, which I still love to this day. He's got some other great stuff too. Trying to think. So obviously everyone likes David Fincher, of course. But my favorite film of his, is probably The Zodiac.
Haven't seen that.
Which I feel.
Have I seen that?
I don't know.
I mean, come on, guys. Have I seen that?
Oh yeah, you've seen that.
I feel like I maybe saw a part of it at one point.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
But I just love that film. I think pretty underrated for him. One of his better films. So a couple years ago, I saw an animated film that blew my mind called The Red Turtle.
Okay.
Check that out.
Give me a whole list of stuff.
I know.
I know what I'm doing all week.
Obviously, you've seen WALL-E before, right? But
yeah.
I encourage you to go back to watch it just for the first 25 to 30 minutes, because I feel like we may never see a Pixar film or an animated, I'll quote, children's film. Obviously, it's not a children's film. It's for everybody.
Right.
Misconception, of course. But still, like the first 25 minutes, like there's no dialogue. Like that would like how do you sell that to a studio, which is amazing. So I think it's brilliant. Like to go back
I
and watch
agree.
it, it's like wow, that's kind of masterful, really, what they're able to pull off with a lot of that. I can keep going on, but that's probably good enough.
What about favorite music then?
Music, that's interesting. I listen to pretty much everything besides country. Favorite, I don't know. I feel like I'm so out of the loop of new music.
Yeah.
That like I feel like I remember having favorites like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like when they were newer or 15 years ago. But I'm so used to like Pandora and Spotify and things like that. Like, oh, just play this and whatever happens. But I listen to all kinds of like I love movie scores as well. While I'm working,
A lot of people in our industry are into movie scores.
Yeah, while I'm working, there's a variety of stuff. Sometimes on Pandora, sometimes some alternative, what people consider emo, probably some 80s.
Yeah.
I'm kind of all over the board, really.
Yeah.
Comes to that, and then movie scores, and even just some classical music as well. Maybe a little bit of jazz here and there. Kind of all over the board on that. And sometimes, like while I'm working, sometimes listen to music, sometimes I don't. Sometimes silence, sometimes the podcast, sometimes I don't know. Kind of no rhyme and reason. I don't know. Sometimes I listen to stuff, sometimes I won't.
I feel like if I'm listening to things with lyrics or I'm listening to talking, it's really hard for me to concentrate on things that are ultra difficult. You know, if I'm trying to problem solve, I can't listen to someone else talking.
Sure, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if it's just like mindless,
if I'm doing like, roto or tracking or something.
Yeah.
Throw on a podcast, no problem, or an audiobook even.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of depends, I guess.
And then TV shows.
So currently, I cannot wait for the new season of Better Call Saul.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's pretty brilliant.
By the way, the red turtle looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it pulled up right here. Yeah.
Great. Like.
Yeah, and Orange is the New Black new season's coming out. I
like the first 2 seasons of that, but I don't think I've seen anything past that as far as Orange is the New Black. I mean, I liked the first 2 seasons, what I saw.
What's the name of it? Yeah, I'll think of it. Go ahead. What are your other ones?
I'm currently watching Swamp Thing as well, which is pretty amazing.
Oh yeah.
Sad.
What is that on?
Already canceled, I guess.
Wait, a new one?
It's on DC Universe.
Oh yeah. I heard about that.
So I specifically signed up for the trial to watch Swamp
I thought
Thing.
for some reason they just canceled the whole thing, the whole project.
No. So the first season has already been made.
Okay.
One deal. And I guess they just said they weren't renewing it because of some crazy tax problems they had.
Weird.
So when you're shooting films or TV shows and stuff, I'm sure certain areas give tax incentives for different things, and that's why people will shoot in all different areas of the world.
Right.
Tax incentives. For example, Native Son's supposed to take place in Chicago, but we mostly shot it all in Cleveland. But tax incentives.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess there is some kind of tax incentive thing where they were supposed to get money back, or some accounting thing, where it didn't work out. So I guess second season they weren't going to have the money that they had the first season, and they didn't want to make a lesser show.
Yeah.
What they did the first season. So that's from what I understand.
Weird. It says Swamp Thing 2019 to. Yeah, that's weird. I don't know.
Oh,
what is DC Universe? What is this? It's just comics and
DC
movies?
Universe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much just anything. I imagine we're going to see a Marvel Universe before.
Yeah.
I guess never mind.
Right.
I guess Disney will have.
That's going to be,
yeah.
I think that's the Disney stream.
I forgot. Yeah,
Yeah.
Disney owns it all. Yeah.
See how that goes there.
But no, something's pretty great. I'm looking forward to the new Watchmen series coming on HBO this year.
Yeah.
My brother will like that.
So see how that goes. What are the TV shows?
There's something in Watchmen where there was a scenario where somebody prevented Batman's parents from dying or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
The
Stranger Things season 3 I haven't watched yet, but I'm going to.
oh yeah, you
excited
gotta
to.
watch that. You gotta watch that. That's great.
Oh, it's got Super Friends. 9 seasons of Super Friends.
Yeah, I did see that.
Sign me up.
Yep.
Succession is the one I was thinking. I'm really looking forward.
HBO.
That is such a great show.
Season's coming out. I saw that.
Yeah. He reminds me of our old boss.
HBO. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's such a good show. Oh man. There was something else I can't remember, but yeah. Any other shows you've been watching or?
Euphoria on HBO. I've been
Yes.
watching.
I've been watching that, and I try to.
Man, enjoy not having kids while it lasts, because you can actually watch all these shows. I'm like,
Right.
listening to you, I was like, how are you watching all these shows?
Yeah.
No, Euphoria
correct.
is really good, but I guess there were some HBO problems last night.
Oh, really? I didn't see it.
Yeah, like you at 9 o'clock. What's the one that comes on at 8 o'clock, 8 or 9 o'clock? It's Pretty Little Lies. Issues.
Oh, yeah.
People watching it, just HBO erroring out, and then the same thing happened. I tried to. I'm 3 episodes behind on Euphoria, but I couldn't even watch the first one I wanted to watch because it just wouldn't load. So I just gave up after. I kept coming back, and after an hour, I'm like, I guess I'll just watch it later. I don't know what the deal is, but that's, that's a good show. All right, podcasts. You do listen to podcasts. So what is on your?
I do sometimes, although strangely, like I feel like I don't. I need to discover some other podcasts. I don't branch out that much apparently. But so my go-to is probably something called the Q&A podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's a podcast that talks to like writers, screenwriters of films and stuff, all kinds of different films, and they just interview them and stuff and talk about their most recent film. I like that a lot. Yep. Visual effects show is pretty great from Effects Guide.
Okay.
I haven't listened to that in a few months. So those are really the main two ones. There's haven't heard it in a few months, but the independent film company A24 started their own podcast. I've listened to that a few times. It's pretty great. Those are the ones I've heard really recently, but I need to do some more research and find some new ones as well.
Lost my place. Oh, plugin. Favorite plugin.
Probably Turbulence FD and X Particles.
Cool. And
Good choices.
headphones.
Man, it's kind of weird. I don't use headphones that much.
Who are you wearing right now?
I was gonna say I had these are my wife's headphones. I couldn't even find mine.
That's
I have some Sony ones, but we just moved like a month and a half ago. So these are actually from monoprice.com.
Oh, nice.
Which, if you've never heard of Monoprice, they're amazing for like audio cables and just cables in general.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah,
But-
cheap cables.
Yeah. But the headphones are doing the job.
Yeah. And then, what is your favorite app? If you're using an app, we did have website or Chrome extension, but we've kind of modified that now to include apps because I think that's an easier one. Unless you already had an answer for website or Chrome extension.
I mean, website like Effects Guide is pretty amazing. I just love reading stories on the visual effects of films and things like that. I'll go a little bit old schooler. How about a magazine?
Ooh.
Do people still read magazines? I do. But American Cinematographer is an amazing magazine that I still read to this day all the time. And as far as I'll give you another website called, you probably already heard of it, but it's filmgrab.com.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, film-grab.com, but it's an amazing resource for references and cinematography of like tons of films and stuff. So good for inspiration and just things like that.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. All right. And the last one is going to be life hack.
Life hack. So I don't really have one per se. I wish I would have followed some things that I'm starting to do now to prevent this back injury I had back in but like our job sitting at a desk all day is obviously really terrible for our necks, our back, our posture, health, everything. So I try to be active and play basketball and things like that. But the bad thing about that is like if you're still sitting at a desk for like anywhere from 8 to like 15 hours, a day, and then you go out and we'll play these high octane sports and different things like that. Still not super great on your body and joints just because they're not really used to like that's a pretty stark contrast.
Yeah.
Right.
But so what I'm getting better at now is one, trying to take breaks from being at your computer. Like, maybe I'm going to try to like set a timer to like, make sure if I'm at the computer for an hour, like, get up, walk around, stretch. Also there's something like for your eyes it's obviously really bad looking at a computer, your
Right,
eyes.
Right.
I guess this is kind of life hack. There's this company called Felix Gray. They make blue light filtration glasses
Oh yeah.
specifically for like screens, and I bought that a couple years ago, and I can tell you it's a huge difference. Like before, I had never experienced it before, but I had eye fatigue and like strain from looking at a screen from working on visual effects for movies for way
sure.
way too long looking at a screen. But ever since I got these glasses, they've been pretty amazing. And just I think just like stretching. I'm gonna get into yoga some, just things like that. Just really be conscious of your body, because I tell you what, as you get older and as you get to like mid-30s, your body is just not what it used to be. I feel like I was like, dang, I really took advantage or took granted of what I used to have and be able to do. It's like it's not the same anymore. So yeah, just stretch and be really conscious of all that's sitting at your desk. And in fact, I just ordered a chair finally as well.
Yeah.
Pedro
I've
says.
been looking at.
Pedro says, "Don't use those don't color grade with those glasses on.
Oh,
Everything's gonna be yellow." Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good point. So I was looking at like Herman Miller chairs and just doing a lot of research.
They're great.
Yeah.
They really are.
Almost pulled the trigger on one of those, but I was like, well, $900. But I found this other chair that I've got recommendations from some other artists, and it had pretty good reviews too. I believe the company is Autonomous. But they have a chair that I just ordered. It's like, let me look it up and tell you real quick.
I'll swear by the ones that have the net. Does it have the netting for the seat rather than just an? Oh
netting.
man, if you get the right one with the right like support, man, it's so good.
Autonomous.ai.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I got like the. Yeah.
Oh, that's actually not too bad of a price.
Yeah, it's not that bad. So like, it's good reviews. I know some other artists that have used it. So I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. So I just ordered that, and the next step will be a standing sitting desk.
Yes.
No, thank you.
Standing desk is great. I really love the standing desk from IKEA, because you can kind of customize it. Like you can buy the part that raises and lowers, and then you can pick like what size and shape that you want at the top, which is really cool. And I'm telling you, like, I don't stand that often, but I do. I make it a point to do it at least once or twice a day. But the funny thing is that it's also convenient when it comes to like wiring stuff up. Like if I got to get in and wire a ton of stuff and get under the desk and the computer, or move stuff around to just get the desk up out of the way, it's actually really cool. So
nice. I guess. So do you have like longer cords, like an HDMI cord from your monitor, and just to make sure like when you're raising that up?
Yes, I do. Everything. Well, there's a net underneath, so you can shove everything down in there in the net, and then I route everything down the side with, everything's got the Velcro ties, so they're kind of loose, but I do have it so that everything works well. I extend all my USB stuff, just real nice. But also I put a really, really long power strip with tons of plugs on it underneath the desk and mounted it, so everything on the desk that has to plug in just goes boop right underneath. So you only have one power cord going to the desk, and that's it. You don't have to worry about it. I definitely recommend it, though. Even if the thing is, people buy standing desks and they get one that doesn't raise and lower, and that's a mistake, because you will regret when you really got to sit down. You're just tired. And you can't.
Yeah, definitely. I think mixing it up, is key. I think there's even some study that was like, oh, you shouldn't always be standing either, which is, of course, that makes sense.
Yeah, for your feet and junk. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we've been going like in 2.5 hours here, so I guess we're gonna wrap it up.
Good show. It's a good show.
Nice.
Really good show. We appreciate you being on. Do you have anything
Thanks for having me.
new and notable you're pushing, or your site, or?
I'm working on my site. I haven't updated. I gotta get on that. It's been like a year. I've been so busy. Working on
you
some
had
stuff
160 something VFX shots you had to do in 3 months.
Right.
I mean, takes it all out of you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, if you need any help on your short films, any VFX, let us know.
Sweet.
I'd be more than happy to give my time.
Awesome. Thank you. Definitely keep you in the loop. I don't know. I'd say I'm probably most active on Instagram and Twitter.
Cool.
My Instagram's just Josh VFX.
Twitter.
Twitter is VFX Daily.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well, yeah, it's hard keeping
Yeah,
up with
follow
everybody's
everything.
handles and everything on the different
Right.
platforms and stuff. Because they're different,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Well,
Yeah, someone already had Matt Milstead,
yeah.
Oh,
so I had to do underscore. I
Yeah.
used the Gurnge way of doing it.
yeah. You wouldn't be surprised, but there's actually lots of Josh Johnsons.
No.
Really, that is
Yeah.
surprising.
And there's not many James Johnsons or Joshua. In fact, the agency I worked at, one of my first jobs, there was a pizza delivered, right?
Mhm.
For an agency. And like someone came back and was like, "Hey, Josh, your pizza's here." I was like, "I didn't order a pizza." Like, are you sure? It says Josh Johnson. It's like, I would know if I ordered a pizza.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Well, it's paid for." I was like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Is there like a phone number attached to it?" And there was. I was like, "Well, let me call that." Yep. Turns out there was another Josh Johnson in the building.
That's funny.
That's great.
So,
That's really
Yep.
funny.
so it was.
He shows up and you're just got a mouthful of pizza. And,
Yeah.
What? This is mine.
Like,
Is it
sorry,
Josh
I'm the
Johnson?
real Josh Johnson. Please
Yeah.
leave the building.
You ordered this? I ordered this.
That's funny.
So you can rate us on iTunes. You can leave a review and subscribe. That really helps to get our ratings up. We love the reviews. We haven't really done the little review contest in a while. Maybe we'll do that again.
No.
Newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter. I'd like to start sending some stuff out. There's a lot of stuff I want to do, but I'm not going to do any of it till after SIGGRAPH. My plate is full. And you can say you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt with the Mograph logo tee, Paul Babb, Feel the Babb 2020 shirt. All the profits from that goes to Doctors Without Borders, and the Render Things t-shirt, hoodie, and long sleeve shirt, and That Render is Fire shirt. And then that's it. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, YouTube, Mograph.com. Man, I'll never get over that. It's a deal. All right. That's it. Thanks again.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was a blast.
All right, we're going to get out of here. Until next week, I'm Dave.
And I'm Matt.
Have a good one.
I'm Josh. See you guys.
Later, yo.
All
right.
We're still live. I'm just going to play us out here for a minute.
Jarvin. Josh, I already followed you before.
Excellent. I follow you as well.
You do?
I believe so.
You follow me.